All right.
Uh-huh.
You are traveling through space and time.
Through the cosmos, drifting between space and time, as they
The
say.
day is September 10th,
About to be September 11th.
approximately 11:37
Ooh, it's gonna
in
be
the PM.
Sunday. Yeah, it's late, but not in late, not late for this. Welcome back, Golden Craft Cast.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
It
It's
is
been a while,
it is I, Sergio, as always, and
and it is
Manny.
I, Mansky Fresh, on
Man,
another delicious and
Manny.
tasty episode of Golden Craft Cast.
Ugh.
Yes,
So,
we're in the fields today. Can you
yeah,
explain why, Serge?
feels. I don't know feels.
Yes, the 80s feels.
Yeah, we're back. We're gonna travel back to 1982, where two movies came out at the same time, and it was about aliens. One alien brought joy to a young boy's life. The other one just brought terror. It made
And
everyone
death.
fucking paranoid. Nothing but death. You should have listened to that Norwegian. Yes, we're talking about E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial versus The Thing.
Why
They're
is it
both really
versus
good.
though?
I don't know. Because everyone's just like, listen, the film community, it's a fun thing to say. It's like, oh, they both came out at the same time. They're both
So they
about
was like they
aliens,
were battling
but they're trying to
blockbusters.
bubbling. They were battling blockbusters at the time, and it was cool because it's Universal. So it's like, one of our other movies is like turning the other one, but it's cool. We're still making money. We're still making
I
money.
could I could just imagine like the two lines that formed and it was just like, "What are you here to watch?" "Oh, we're here for ET." And it's like you see all the little kids in the line and then you see all the adults like just lined up for the thing, you know?
Yeah,
It's like both equally fucking awesome in special effects
yeah,
and
definitely.
both equally extraterrestrial, you
hmm
know?
I could imagine like if you were to go to school and talk about this like at school and say like, "Oh, I watched ET," and then they're like, "ET's for babies. I want to go watch the thing. That's what real
Oh
men
yeah,
watch.
we saw the thing
You
that
watch this thing,
separated the men
bro."
from the boys
Exactly. So it was just
back in the
like,
day.
all the grown up boys is like, "That's for babies. You watch the thing. That's scary, man, and it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool, and it was cool.
Cool.
Both movies are cool. That's what it is. You
Yeah,
know?
both movies are definitely cool. Um, I watched well, I'll go and talk about, like, my first time watching ET was we had the VHS,
Me
you
too.
know?
I did too.
And
Yeah.
we would always, like, throw that shit on, like, all the time. Before Halloween, after Halloween, in the summertime. It's just, like, one of those year-round movies that hits,
Yeah.
like, no matter when you put it on. And if you meet somebody that's never seen it, you love watching it with them,
Yeah.
you know,
If it's little
because
kids, it's
it's
like you want to show it to them. You're like, "Oh, this is the first
honestly,
time
that's
watching
why I'm
them."
considering just getting it on Vudu, because I wanna introduce it to, like, different
Yeah.
to, like, my people, like,
Go
they
people.
don't fucking know, they watch Pixar shit now, it's crazy, you know?
Watch Pixar.
But and then I watched the first time I watched The Thing was in the garage days, and we
Yeah.
had the projector, and, Moon and Jose were there, and they were just like, "Bro, you've never seen The Thing?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "Bro, you've never seen The Thing." He's like, "Dude, that movie gives me fucking nightmares." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, man, that shit gave me nightmares as a kid." And I was
Yeah, it's
like,
very
"All right, we're
nightmarish.
watching this shit."
It's
You
like, all
know?
right, let's see what you guys are afraid of. And watch it.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, okay. Oh,
And
wow.
after watching it, it was like, okay, as a kid, I can understand why you were afraid of this movie, but like, I'm glad I watched this as an adult and it's not affecting my psyche as much. And I
Yeah.
know that it's special effects, so there was that.
Yeah. It was
What
definitely that.
about you watching ET?
E.T., like, sort of like you, we also had that VHS in our household. Actually, last time, when I left the house, I saw the VHS, like, where the VHS player and DVD player was at.
Mhm.
And, that place never gets moved, and it was still there, so, I'm gonna somehow get a picture of that. And
It
yeah,
would
I was watching that. Yeah, my dad just like showed us that movie. We watched it every once in a while. And honestly, I think the best experience watching it is when it came out on its 20th anniversary in 2002.
right.
And it was a movie experience. Like that shit made an impact, like especially at the end. And then once the Reddit scroll, like everyone just started cheering because it was just like, holy shit, it's like so much better in the theaters as opposed to watching this in VHS. So it
Right.
was just like, oh damn. And again, like it did came out for its 40th this year. So, I didn't go watch it. I mean, I already saw it like when I was 12 and it was like embedded into my brain when I saw it. And yeah, it was cool. As for the thing, I think I know I watched it when I was a teenager. I think I might have seen it with my sisters or someone, or I don't remember. But I remember it was pretty freaky, and I was just like, "Oh fuck!" Like, it's just like, like the visual effects were freaking cool. So that's the thing that impressed me the most. Um, and yeah, watching it recently, I'm just like, after watching like Hateful Eight, which Tarantino he quoted saying like, "Yeah, this is Hateful Eight." Uh, Wait, hold on. The Thing is actually a big inspiration for me making like the Hateful Eight, and you totally see it because it's about paranoia. The main thing about being paranoid um in like a very limited condensed space is just like it makes
You
for
don't
great
know how
horror.
you don't
You
have
know,
anywhere to go.
yeah. Either you face the elements or you face your death there. So it's like either or. So I mean, this is a pretty intense movie, and it's fucking cool. You know, But, those are our 2 impressions on the movies. Should we go on to Bia's?
Well, you know how we do it here on Golden Craft Cast. We always pair our episodes with craft beer. So you can always expect a new craft beer most of the time. I mean, I think there's only been like less than 5 times we've done a beer twice. And I know one of them was Fiend du Monde because I love that
Yeah.
shit.
Well, I mean,
And there's a
that's
lot of
certainly so.
apocalypse movies, so it just fits so well. But today we got some new beers, brand new beers.
Brand new beers.
Um Mine was actually when I went to Total Wine, it was suggested to me by a person that was there after I looked at it. They were like, dude, that one's really good. You should try that one. And I ended up picking it up. I just learned that it's a collaboration actually.
Yeah.
So this is a collaboration with Firestone Walker, by Omegang
Oh my gang?
Brewing Company. Yeah,
I think we
apparently that's what it is.
oh, I think we
It's called
I think we had one of their
Neon
beers
Giant.
last week.
So check that out.
Oh, I thought you mm,
So
it's a
it
different
says
variation. Because
I
I
guess so.
remember,
Well,
yeah,
it
because I
says
remember watching
Omegang
that, seeing
OMG
that.
series.
Oh, okay.
So I guess there's a series of these
Yeah,
different
because
like
I seen that before.
celestial beers.
Yeah, I seen that before. That looks
So
like a different
yeah,
flavor.
so this is a hazy, and it says astronomically hazy.
Cool,
There's some dope artwork all over the sides, some space ships and stuff, some planets and weird things. Let me read the back for you.
cool.
It says hops from around the globe explode in this juicy supernova, a collaboration with our stellar friends at Firestone Walker. Tropical fruit aromas deliver at warp speed an exquisite nebula of flavor. Revel in its hazy vastness. Keep it cold, drink it fresh. I intend to, friend. 6.5, baby. Let's do this.
Cool.
What you got?
So we're keeping it cosmic and spacey. So I got this. This is the
Oh,
Space Lust IPA.
what?
Yeah, this is new. I think this is pretty new.
That is new.
Yeah, because I bought it.
Alvarado, huh?
Yeah, Alvarado. I got
So
this close
it's a
by.
spin on space dust?
No, I think it's
It
just like
looks like it,
it
bro.
looks like it, but I don't think it is associated with like space dust.
Exactly, but oh man,
But I mean, it's like hops, so like they're trying to make like a little character out of a hop. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what they did on Space Dust, and what I think, put it in front of your face so you can see it. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Here's a shot.
It kind of looks like you. Keep spinning it. Spin it around. Spin it the other side.
Okay, the other way.
Yeah, that looks really reminiscent of Elysian Space Dust, bro. They might get into some legal things with them, bro, because I don't know
Maybe.
if they had the rights to
I
do
don't
that
know.
shit.
All
That
right.
looks very, very similar, dude. And it only has to be 10% different to be legal. So I think they touched that ground,
Yeah.
but they're still trying to put their foot in the door with that beer. What percentage is it?
That's it doesn't say, but I looked online, it was like 7.8.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
I drank this
So it's
last
almost
night.
8%.
Yeah, I drank this last night, so I can confirm
That's
it
why you
is.
didn't wake up this early.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Fucking guy.
I also had like two whiskey gingers along with it, so you
Oh,
know.
this fucking guy. All right, let's snap him and crack him and
All right, for sure. Wait. Hold up your beer right next to you, so that way we get a picture. Smile. There you go. Got it.
all
All
right,
right.
let's do the po. It's po.
Pour this, pour you. Man, pour me another beer.
A big glass of beer. It has juice. It's po. All right, let's see what you got, Neon Giants. Look at that. Just so hazy. Look at you can't see behind it. It's gone. Fucking A.
And
Really tropical notes off the nose, man. This one's going in. To the craft, my friend. Right. Oh shit.
Num 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 num.
What?
What?
Okay.
No?
Tell me what you got, because I'm still boiling over what I just tasted right now.
Just like got the most confused look on your face, man.
It's confusing. It's not
It's sending me mixed
it's not a
signals.
normal hazy.
It doesn't even taste like a hazy.
It does taste like just go ahead. I'm wrapping my mind around this one.
So I already tasted it last night. It's really good. It's like very aromatic. You could tell
Aromatic.
this is yeah, whatever. This is this is definitely like close to an 8. Like you can really feel the tanginess on that. So
Yeah.
IBUs. I don't even know what the IBUs is this. It's pretty high. But I like this. When I drank this last night, I was like, "Oh shit, this is actually pretty good." I was like, kept drinking this shit. It's cool. I like it. Very aromatic.
This is really, really weird. It's a New England IPA, but it's a hazy. So it's really, how can I put it, man? Because
Okay.
the taste is there. Like it does taste like a hazy, but it still tastes light.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, it tastes light. It's not like heavy. It's
Uh,
a 6.5, which has something to do with it, but there's something more on top. I don't know what it is, man.
can't
It's
put your
like
finger on it.
it has all the flavor, like the back end tropical notes of a hazy, but it goes down like a pilsner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tangy, it's tropical, but it's going down like a pilsner, not like a hazy. Like with the hazy, you'll get that punch of the alcohol right
All
in the
right, keep
back
going.
end. This is more going down smooth, real smooth, which I like. I'm not opposed to that. Um, I've never heard of this brewery though. I've heard of Firestone Walker, but I haven't heard of Omegang, and they're from Kansas City, Missouri, apparently. So they made friends with Firestone Walker. Pretty fucking impressive. Uh, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm reading on the back on the IPAs, they have at least 8 different hops in this beer.
Hmm.
Mosaic, Citra, Cashmere, Simcoe. Honestly, with Mosaic and Citra and Simcoe, right there, it's already fucking it's money. You already got Amarillo hops, Idaho 7, Azaka, and Nelson Sauvin hops.
Eh?
Pretty fucking ballsy this guy was to name a hop after himself, huh?
Yeah, it
Nelson
sounds so
Sauvin,
random.
fucking guy. But that's what I'm dealing with, man. We'll see how we feel later on it. How do you feel on yours? I mean, does it pack the alcohol punch, or
Yeah, it
is it
does.
kind of in the, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying, but it's definitely like definitely gets the punch in there. It's like it's a really good tasty beer. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Despite it being like a little bit bitter, it's just it's I don't know, like it's just like sippable, you know.
yeah.
But it's
This
pretty
one's
good. I like it.
definitely on that page. Sippable. Um, I mean, I got just a single can of this one, but
Uh,
I didn't see any packs. They only had singles of this one,
oh
so
really?
that
Yeah,
says something right there.
yeah. I got my packs, so I'm good. Oh
Yeah, New
man,
Zealand hops in this bad boy. So we'll see how we go on this one.
New
I see
Zealand.
some calcium, some
What's
lactose. Like that's what they put lactose in it to like
yeah?
give it like the haziness. So there's a
Just the
little bit
fact that you just
floating at the
call it
bottom that I see.
just the fact that you call it calcium was just like, oh, okay, we're going on the minerals of what
Scientific
it's made.
tip. That's what we do.
Yeah, I
Not all
guess
the
that.
time, but
We try.
we do.
We try. We definitely try.
Um,
Let's try
Side
this.
note,
Go
I
ahead.
did drink some Modelo earlier
Uh huh.
and also some 805s.
Right.
805.
Yeah.
Had to get a picture earlier. We watched the Nate Diaz fight
Yeah.
with Randy and
Oh, also side note. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, all that shit was I really feel like they're cheating those fights, man. I feel
Yeah.
like they have signals
You've been saying
to each
that.
other when they're
Yeah,
fighting,
you've been
man.
saying that for a while. So yeah.
It's after Fight Island, they were like, "All right, guys, we're all here to make money. Everyone's gonna leave a champion. I can
Yeah.
promise you that." That's Dana White right there. That's what I feel like is going on.
Yeah.
That shit was a
Definitely.
little too, um, how can I say?
On the nose.
Yeah,
On the fringe.
for reals, because it was just like after the first lock in, he just tapped out immediately. He was
Huh.
just like, "All right, I'm going down in the fourth round. I'm going down."
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's supposedly Nate Diaz's last fight. So,
Really.
I don't want to go on the UFC tip. We're
Yeah.
not Joe Rogan, so we'll leave that aside. But
Okay.
it
It's
was a pretty crazy match. Like
yeah.
the whole night was pretty dope.
Okay.
But
Side
I
note.
came back and now I'm having this beer and it's hitting a lot different than those
Yeah.
other two
Yeah. So like my side note. Yesterday I went to a local Mexican spot real quick, and
races.
I ate in, and then I overheard like a guy talking to like another lady, and then I just heard like, yeah, Nate Diaz, I know him. I was like, what? And apparently this guy
Oh
knew
shit!
fucking Nate Diaz, and he even showed like a picture of him,
With him?
yeah, of him and Nate Diaz with him. And they
Damn.
said I think they grew up like in the same neighborhood or something. And I was just like, oh
Yeah,
fuck,
they scrap. Like he's a scrapper. That's what he's known
yeah,
for. Like he made that fool bleed.
yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, this is a completely different side note, but also like up here or in an area like by here, some
You mean the Bay?
yeah, in the Bay Area, it's
You love saying
apparently,
that shit. Just
yeah,
say it.
uh, Bay Area. So, so apparently, some jackass, fucking beheaded his girlfriend with a
What
katana
the
in front of
fuck?
everyone. Yeah, and everyone was talking about that shit. And I was like, oh
What the
fuck,
fuck?
yeah, bro.
Was it like was it like drug people? Was it like meth heads doing
No, it
this, or
was
was it
just
like
no, it was just like I don't know if it was the boyfriend, and it was like an estranged boyfriend and his girlfriend. I guess they've been
that's
like
usually
at
how it
it.
goes?
Like this was just apparently like straight up like cut her head open
Oh my
and in
god.
front of everyone in broad daylight. And
You
then
weren't
her
expecting
dad,
that on the ET versus the Alien
yeah,
podcast, were you?
yeah. So I
Holy
mean, the dad
crap.
identified her body, and then he said like, "Yeah, this is literally me. I feel like I'm living in a horror movie right now because it was just like,
That
oh fuck,
is fucking wild.
gruesome, very gruesome."
Wow.
Sorry,
All right. Well,
let's turn it up on a lighter
fucking
note.
Way to transition, bro.
No, it's because like
Fucking A.
they also mentioned it while he was like talking about Nate Diaz. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, they cut up a girl's head like in San Carlos. I was like, oh shit. I'm like
What
overhearing
the
this,
fuck?
and I'm just like, man, I need a
You should have
drink.
started talking to them, man, and gotten some more deets, but that is fucking
I
wild,
saw.
dude.
I
Shit
read
is
the
going
news.
hard.
I read the news, so you know. Going on.
Look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the heat out here or if it's the fucking whatever the new batch of Breaking Bad they got,
The
but
new
it's
baby food.
making these fools go loony. It's going crazy out there.
It's called
Have you
mental health.
noticed?
Yeah, it's called lack of mental health. The people are not
I
like
mean,
treating
yeah,
themselves
and
out
lack
there.
of fucking man, that's another podcast, but
Hmm.
hey, we're going into it now. All
Yeah,
right.
let's just go on a lighter note. Back to 1982. Back
Yeah,
when
honestly, I feel like the good transition
that
from
shit
this
is.
murderous crazy shit is probably The Thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that
uh,
shit is fucking wild too.
I feel like we should go on a lighter note. I don't know. I mean, it's called
I feel like
ET.
we keep it up with the crazy shit.
Fine, we'll go with fucking the thing.
Yeah, let's talk about The Thing,
The
man.
thing is gruesome. Honestly, the thing I noticed about this movie, watching it this way around, is like
Huh,
it's pretty
the thing
dark.
I noticed about The Thing.
Yeah, the thing I noticed about the thing, it's pretty dark. It's like really dark. And it's fucking crazy. Well, uh, what's the one thing you notice about this movie? That's like weird.
I mean, cool besides the cool fucking special effects. You know, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This movie like is dope because the special effects and stuff like that, but the story was rewritten, put out, and they had such a budget on this that they were able to film in certain parts. It's just like to me, it was like it was a feat for sure to film this movie. It was a feat.
Mm,
Um, but the story for me, it kind of people say that it picks up really fast, but for me, it just dragged kind of.
really?
Yeah,
I
for
feel
me,
like
it
it
just
just
kind of
picked up a
it
lot.
kind of dragged in like a sense of like, well, I mean, going back to kind of Hateful Eight, that
Hmm.
everybody in one room, cabin fever kind of deal, you know, like there's slow moments, and those slow moments for me really gave the story a lot of speed bumps.
Yeah.
Um, but it did pick up, and you could see Kurt Russell kick some fucking ass, you know, and also the dude from Ghostbusters. Don't know what his name is.
And
Do you
also,
know what his name is?
I don't, I don't know his name, but also the great, the powerful Keith David. This is his first feature debut, believe it or not.
And this came out in 1982.
This is in '82.
How many weeks apart
I
from
believe it was
ET
like
did?
a month and a half ago, because I think ET was. Let me double check. Because I remember they were
Um
just like a couple months apart. Well,
yeah,
yeah,
so
about a
I
month
mean, I'm
apart.
looking at the IMDb now. Obviously, director John Carpenter. This was
Mhm.
actually one of John Carpenter's first fully budgeted films.
Yeah, it
Before
is.
this, he was an independent filmmaker.
Yeah, because before this, like he didn't make Halloween, and that was on a budget. Like it was
Keith
40.
David, that's the
Keith
guy.
David from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I literally
Well,
say
oh
Keith
fuck, you
David.
know what? That's not him from Ghostbusters, is it? That's not him.
Wait,
Keith David is the guy from
does the voice for Goliath and Gargoyles,
The Princess of the Frog. He's
and
the voice
he
for
does the voice for yeah that guy too.
and Something of a Dream.
Something of a dream.
Requiem.
Requiem for a Dream. Oh my god, I
Yeah.
remember that
He was
movie.
in that, right? He
Yeah,
was in that too.
bro, I remember his gap teeth when he's all like, he's gonna about to watch like those two chicks like fucking make out or something. He's all
Yeah,
like,
that's that was
yeah.
his whole persona in that movie. He's just a weirdo, you know? And it worked with the gap teeth. But in this movie he was more of like the
He was,
like Jax from Mortal Kombat kind of character, like the
uh,
military kind of guy, right?
no, he's like okay.
He
He's like
didn't
more.
he didn't want to get
He
eaten
was
up.
just like he was just straightforward and very stoic. And this one didn't believe in like no bullshit. Like he knew the facts and he was just trying to reason with everyone. Especially with like Kurt Russell at one point where he was just like being all paranoid and he had like the fucking torch and shit and he was all like talking to him like, all right. And he was trying to reason with him the whole time. So he's like in this movie, he's more of the reason guy than anything else, if
I
anything.
feel like, well, the reason they tried to get the dude from Ghostbusters, I think, and they ended up getting this dude, but they said that the chemistry between Kurt Russell and Keith David was so rich that
Yeah.
they had to just keep continuing that, and like that chemistry is what really also I feel built the suspense in the movie.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah,
I don't know, that's my opinion.
yeah, definitely. I mean, you're trapping a bunch of dudes and the question that I asked you, what was so weird about this movie, is that it's an all sausage fest, bro. There's no women in this movie.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
masculinity move
yeah,
for sure.
definitely. I think the only the only person that was female is the computer's voice, and I think that was his. I think it was Carpenter's wife that did the voice for that.
They always get the wives involved, huh?
Yeah, they do. Uh, yeah, that we'll talk about ET on that one too, because that involves wives. So, yeah, it was just like, I noticed that shit, and I think I watched it with like other like, I was watching it with friends. I think the last time I watched it, and they were a little younger than me, and I watched the movie obviously, so I was just showing them, and then I asked them like, "Oh, what do you knows about this?" There's no women in here. That's right. Oh, cold sausage fest.
So, some tidbits on the thing were the thing was actually adapted from the 1951 movie,
The
The
thing
Thing from
from
Another
outer
World.
space, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm
everyone
from
kinda
another
talks
space.
about that. That's, like, one of the things you kinda have to talk about
Yeah, you
for
definitely
sure.
see it.
Um, but what I thought was interesting is John Carpenter didn't want to remake that movie because of watching that movie. He actually wanted to do this film because of the short story,
Yeah.
um, by author John W. Campbell,
What's the name of the
Who Goes There.
Oh, yeah, there it is. That was the
So
2
that's the
things.
that was the inspiration for kind of the thing, and the way, well, I looked up some different YouTube videos and stuff, and they said that, basically, he didn't want to, do anything that was out of his reach.
Mhm.
He kinda wanted to stay true to, like, what he was already doing, and he was already actually, committed to other projects at the time, but I think one of the projects that he was more focused on ended up failing or,
Yeah.
like, didn't go through, so he ended up just going back to the thing and, like, focusing on that, and, it's just crazy because it wasn't the 1950s film that made him wanna go back to it, it was him rereading the short story of it and
Yeah.
just how it went down and just, like, this weird creature that could morph and, like, whatever it ate would turn into that thing, could, like, become that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely an inspiration. It's also very much like Twilight Zone, esque in one way or
Yeah.
another. Yeah, especially the movie, like, it's loosely based on. Like, you definitely get, like, those vibes. It's like, "Oh, it's like a Twilight Zone episode that's really, really scary." And, I mean, I guess the spin on it would be like, "Oh, this is the movie that you were gonna show in the 1950s. This is actually way more terrifying, like, beyond nightmares and stuff." So, I mean, yeah, that's why we have, like, like, like Moon and fucking Jose having to be terrified of this movie because it's like it's nothing that you pretty much haven't, like, imagined. Because I can't imagine, like, this movie, like, back in, like, the '80s having to be like, oh, like, it's like something that's, like, not even, like, a whole monster. It's like, it's an imitation of it, you know? and
Wait,
it's
what
like
do you mean by that?
it's like all right, I would say like it's very body horror in that sense. So you get to see like that it's not really human, but it's also nothing that you ever seen before, you know. But it's just scary knowing the fact that there's this thing that's morphing its body onto like whatever it eats or consumes into one, and it's just like, you know, stuff of nightmares that you can't even imagine, you know. It's not like a Wendigo, it's not like a Bigfoot or anything like that. It's just something that's just like
It's you know
it,
what it was, bro,
it's
is
unknown.
when I watched the YouTube video earlier, the guy was talking about this, like, "Get your buff bags ready." You know, like, he was trying to,
Very
like, get
organic.
people, like, because that was the main point of this, like,
Yeah.
back in the day, all these special effects and the grittiness and kind of the rawness of the special effects made people throw up. It was, like, weird for it was like mutilation, you know, for you to
Yeah.
see. We
It was
could
a
thank
mutation.
Rob Bottin
Yeah.
for that because Rob Bottin was the special effects designer on this movie. Once they saw Rob Bottin's special effects, like his reels basically for the
Hmm.
movie and what he was working on, they ended up putting more money into the budget, and that fool stayed on set at
Yeah.
Universal backlot for like a fucking year, like until the movie was finished.
Yeah. And I believe he was like 22 years old when he joined in. So he was a
He
pretty
looks like a
much,
madman.
yeah, so he looked like he was pretty much young, but he had potential of like what he was trying to make and stuff. I mean, that's usually how it goes. Like, you know, they usually hire someone that's like very young and knows what they're doing in that sense. You got it? What is that?
Kinda.
What
You
is
kinda see his eyes on the bottom,
it?
but
Yeah.
he looks like a freak,
It is
basically.
very.
But I mean, he did shit in that movie like making like faces like blend together, tormenting people like fucking, but also getting the molds of the actual actors to like be part of the thing, and like you would see bits and pieces of them like scattered throughout the fucking thing. Like it was weird. It was
Yeah.
weird for people to see that, and it was in a time where um special effects were very new. Computer graphics were very rough. So
Yeah.
the
Everything was
way to pull
limited.
this shit off was to do it with practical effects.
Hmm. Yeah, and at the time, I think the cost of the movie was like 15 million, which isn't a lot, like, you know, inflation wise, but it was a lot like back in '82, which I think is the equivalent to it's like probably like 50 or 70 million. I'm not too sure, but they said it was like it was pretty expensive. But I mean, it was the budget of like John Carpenter movie. Like he's coming off like from the Halloween movies, and then he's coming into this. Um, yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about is the music, and John Carpenter actually like scores his own music, especially like in Halloween. Of course, it was budgeted, so you know he also did the score for it. But and the score for the Halloween is very similar to this. Um, but the weird thing is that John Carpenter didn't even score his own movie. It was actually um, it was scored by Ennio Morricone, who actually does like the music of like the spaghetti westerns. So he pretty
Mhm.
much make like, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he's
I mean, that goes to show that
yeah,
those suspenseful scenes where you just don't know what's gonna happen. You just hear those synth just hits, just doo,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so he, in a way, which is ironic, he pretty much mimicked like John Carpenter's style and pretty much made it his own and made something great out of it. And also, we did talk about the Hateful Eight, and
Mhm.
guess who fucking scored that movie in that? He did.
John Carpenter,
No, Ennio Morricone.
same dude,
Yeah,
spaghetti
it was
western
just,
guy.
yeah, the spaghetti western guys,
Makes
which
sense. See,
which
that
of course,
feels like a
yeah,
better fit, you know?
yeah, which makes sense because of course, like we all know Tarantino likes spaghetti westerns, and well, I got another tip, but that could wait for later. But it's the score and everything about it is just very atmospheric and just very, you know, very suspenseful. And yeah, it was like he did a pretty good job to get that mood and actually, you know, made it into a style that's like very John Carpenter and whatnot. But it's Yeah, I like it. It's very much like that.
I feel like the only reason this movie existed was because of the concepts that they had for the special effects.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for Rob Bottin doing such a good job, I don't think they would have sold it.
Yeah.
Um, what I heard, and this is what I heard from a YouTube video earlier. This fool does his research. We got to give a shout out to this guy at the end of the podcast, but definitely he talks about how stock traders actually own the rights to the thing from another world.
Really.
So they own these rights. Some stockbrokers own the rights to this shit. They
That's so
just didn't know
random.
what to do with it. So they're like, "Oh, we'll sell it to you. Fuck it, we'll
Yo.
sell it." It was just being passed around like a whole, you know. It was just crazy. And then they finally said, "All right, let's do something with this. Who
Yeah.
can we get on this?" And John Carpenter was a choice, and also the director from Chainsaw Massacre
Toby Hooper. Hopper. Hooper.
was also a choice for this.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think
That's what I heard.
they gave him they gave him the reins,
Hmm.
and he kind of gave them a screenplay, and they didn't like it,
Yeah.
and they ended up going with Carpenter's version.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
so I mean that just goes to show like just kind of the almost like not the battle for the movie to be made, but just the difficulty that they had to find people that would be committed to it. I mean, even at the end, John Carpenter wasn't even committed to it. He was trying to do his other project,
Yeah.
you know?
This didn't work out.
So this kind of just came out of I don't want to say out of accident, but it was just like, oh well, I'm free and I need money, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow through with this and just see what's going on.
Yeah. I definitely need that money, man. That's how filmmakers work. It's like, gotta make something soon.
Yeah.
But that's usually how it is, really. And it's cool. Um, so I mean, at the point of this movie, or at the time it got released, um, Kurt Russell, I can't, I can't really think about like another movie before he was in this one. But I can't say that I don't think he was like a leading man type of guy, or was he? I'm not just sure.
They were trying a multitude of different dudes
Yeah, Nick
for
Nolte.
the cast.
Yeah, it was Nick Nolte and Jeff Bridges, which is
Jeff Bridges, bro.
yeah, with that beard is like,
I
oh yeah,
could
especially
totally see
I
him
could see it.
being
Yeah, I
the
could see
dude.
him. You
I
could see
bet
the
you in the
dude really,
future,
man.
I'm mark my words right now on this podcast. In the
Okay.
future, they're gonna do the thing and they're gonna like map Jeff Bridges into the shoes of Kurt Russell. Dude, I'm telling you, like
Yeah, that's gonna be
cinema is
funny.
changing, bro. Like that shit, and people want to watch it too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
everything.
saying?
Yeah, like all the what ifs in the cinematic realm are actually gonna come true due to
I
that.
mean,
I mean,
you
we already
technically
have
did your own what if when we talked with Javi
what?
about Beetlejuice and doing it black and white.
Well, that's something different. We're saying like casting wise, like, oh, what if
Yeah.
like let's say like Iron Man. Obviously, we have Robert Downey Jr., but they were actually
Mhm.
considering Tom Cruise, and people actually have like photoshops of like Cruise in the fucking Iron Man
Right.
suit. So
That's what I'm saying with the
those
little
type of
mustache and
things.
everything like
Yeah,
that. I feel like, yeah, it could be a thing that we see in the future is like remakes of movies with different actors there.
yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
like,
There's a couple out there like the Terminator, whatever was played by Sylvester Stallone. So they just like mapped his face into like Arnold's
yeah.
face, and it just looks real. Like they get the lighting right and everything. Like people
I
would
mean,
actually do that shit if they have the time for it.
that's what I really feel is that's what makes the 80s hit hard in popular culture.
Yeah, definitely.
One, special effects was on the rise. People wanted more shit with really, really good special effects, and Universal had the fucking budget for it. They were giving people money for it. They were really handling the special effects department. They were giving it the much needed attention that it deserved at that time.
Yeah,
And also, you also have CGI stuff going on at the same time. So it's
kind of.
like this is prematurely happening while special effects is kind of I don't want to say at its peak, but like practical effects was already almost honed down
Yeah.
as a really true art form to deliver special effects.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of artists started to come up. Like, the one I think of is Rick Baker, who actually does the special effects for uh American Werewolf in London. And
Oh,
those
that shit
visual
is dope.
effects, those visual effects fucking hit it hard. So
Yeah,
it's basically everyone trying to figure this shit out and having to make it look convincing enough for the people to actually have a feeling about it. With the
right,
thing,
right.
they'll feel like, a little queasy seeing this thing that's like very organic and just a lot of blood and just all this
It
blood flying
just it
around.
just puts me on the edge to think like back in the day you would get a screen test, and if the screen test was good and people liked it, you'd get money in your pocket. If they
Yeah.
didn't, you'd be fucking out. Like that to me was like that. That's worrisome, man. And I feel like that's the big dilemma that people feel with special effects. It's like, damn, is this gonna cut it? Is this gonna cut it? But that fool fucking made it. Not only cut it, but he did weird shit that I don't think anybody's seen before, as far as like mashing different eyes and limbs and pieces of gum and like weird latex pieces together to like create the thing.
Yeah. But yeah, from what I heard, it's just made up with a bunch of materials, including gum, from what I
Yeah.
heard. So it's like, I think I heard that a long time ago, and I was like, damn, that's just cool. So I think that tidbit made me like actually like the movie even more because it's like, they did things out of hands. Like it was all artisanal in that sense. So I mean, it's cool. Um, do you want to go into our top two scenes?
Oh, dude, it's gonna be hard for me to remember top two, but go ahead, let's do it. I'm gonna do my best.
My ass. So, uh, I want to start off with um a top scene that I uh that's very important in the movie, and that's in the beginning. And obviously, we have that whole chasing with the dog. They're trying to chase this dog, and then you're just like, you're watching this for the first time. They're like, "What's going on? Why are they trying to kill the dog? What did the dog do?" And we follow him, and then there's this Norwegian guys that are stationed like somewhere else, and they're just yelling like, "Oh, get out of the way!" Like fucking, they're trying to shoot the dog, and nobody even knows what they're saying. And there's no subtitles on this movie, so it's like, I mean, if you put it out there, you're pretty much pulling like all the mystery and the suspense out of it. So, wait, let me play that. So it's basically saying, he's basically saying, keep away from that. That is not a dog that thinks mimics. And then he calls them idiots. Wait, can you hear this?
A little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, they're having like a whole back and forth until ultimately he gets shot down. But I mean, in the very beginning, they literally tell you like what this movie is about. Because I don't think
In
the trailers.
Norwegian.
Yeah,
Real helpful.
and it's like, how many people actually speak Norwegian? Especially since it's like an American release, it's just like, oh, okay. But I mean, if they got released overseas, well, technically, I guess it would be subtitled or dubbed or something. So I
Was
don't
this
know
the
how they did
intro?
it. Yeah, this is the intro. Yeah, this is the intro. So right off the top, you already get that mystery, like, oh, what's going on? And then after
Okay,
that
it's
scene,
I just did a quick search right now on
yeah,
on screenrant.com. It says while the Norwegian pilot's dialogue in the opening scene is subtitled, it roughly translates to "Get the hell away. It's not a dog. It's imitating a dog. It's not real." Which, damn,
you
don't they wish they
idiots.
spoke Norwegian?
Yeah, you would think like, oh, there's another post out there, so why don't we like communicating in case of an emergency? Trade languages, trade resources, but no, people tend to be like isolated to themselves, which this is a big thing about the movie. It's isolation in itself. So that's my first scene really. Man, he's anticipating. It's like I'm trying to remember. Did I even
Honestly,
say?
My favorite scene is also in the beginning of the movie when they first arrive, and it's just like the fucking Arctic, and it's just like fucking cold, and it's like, where the fuck are we?
Yeah.
You know? It's just like we're in the fucking boonies. It just shows you that, and going back to Hateful Eight too,
Mhm.
also in the snow,
Yeah.
also in the fucking snow. You know, so I just liked. I think there was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing like a hole in the ground or something like that.
Yeah.
There was something like that, and it like that just made a really big impression on me because it's like, what the fuck is down there, you know?
Oh, yeah. That was yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that they actually shot, like, all the, exterior scenes with the snow, they shot that in Alaska. But all the scenes, like, the
Inside
inside that
LA.
was with the hole, that was, like, in a on a studio. So,
Yeah.
they did a pretty good job just, like, letting both, making it seem like, oh, like, you were always inside this, little world in here. And I mean, you definitely feel it. Like you definitely feel the cold and isolation in that shit, and this is like bringing a lot of mystery of like what the hell is actually going on. Because all you know that the movie started is called The Thing. You know, and it's supposed to be really scary. And when you find out what that thing is, you're just like, oh my God, that's nightmares, nightmares all over.
Um, what actually opened the gate for this movie also being made was the fact that Alien had just come out.
Right?
So they were kind of bringing back this theme from the 1950s, which is curious because that's the original, the movie that came out was
Yeah,
in the 1950s, and people were kind of over that shit. They didn't want to really see stuff like that, and it ended up being you know, a fucking a whole thing about another alien, basically some kind of fucking
an
alien,
alien that you
you know?
never expect to see. I think that mimics is just like, oh, that's bringing a whole different element now. Like, who would think about that if you really think
Yeah.
about it? But it's, I mean, I think aside from that, I think I would think like the blob, but the blob is just basically, it just eats people and that's it.
Yeah. This is the second scene that I liked is when they start convincing each other to do the blood test, right?
Yeah,
Because that was like, okay, so if you're not bullshitting, blood test. You know what I'm saying? So it was really like it was that kind of moment where the tensions are running high between everybody, and
yeah,
they just want to get to the bottom of it. The plot is thickening, and all they have to do is fucking, well, the only way to figure it out is let's do a blood test. You know what I'm saying? So shit, man. I think that the tension in that scene really built up, and it just gave the movie after that scene, it just changed the movie kind of in like in
yeah,
a direction like everyone for themselves kind of deal.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's, it was definitely one of those moments where it was just like, okay, we're gonna figure who did it. It's basically like, okay, um, like let's say like someone stole something, right? And then someone has proofs of like the video of who actually like stole that one thing, and as they're watching it, you get to see who it is, and then all of a sudden it's just like shit goes fucking sideways and stuff. But I mean, this was unique because you really don't know who it is. Like even us, like we don't even know who it might be, but we have our suspicions, and
Right.
you know the guys are either gonna like put a brave face or just like sort of like let's get it over with type of deal with
Mhm.
that's what like Keith David does, basically puts that front, and eventually just like out of nowhere it's just like, oh, it just the blood just like somehow did something weird and just went off. and it was just like, oh, well, there it is, and then now it's like, oh, well, all the people that you think is the thing, now they're fucking in danger because literally this thing's literally transforming right next to Keith
hunting them.
David, and it's just like, God damn it, you put me in this fucking dumbass situation if you just fucking trusted me, but now they're trapped with that fucking thing, So I think that was the scariest part of it all, just them having to see them having to be off the hook, but also not really off the hook because now they have to deal with that.
Some of the biggest scenes, I mean, this isn't a top 2 kinda thing, but some of the biggest things that stood out to me was those first Arctic shots where it was just like you couldn't see shit,
Yeah,
and it was just like the glowing of the wherever they were at, like that cabin that they were in, it was just like that glowing, and like the machines outside and the shit, like, they were there to do work, but it ended up turning into fucking something catastrophic for them, you know?
yeah,
It's I feel like for people that do that kind of work, the thing hits home even harder. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
people that are out on ships, but with like a crew, and like people that are fucking like, you know, going out to the Arctic and like digging up samples of shit, like,
yeah.
well, not of shit, but like, of the ground or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
like it hits home more because you never know what's gonna happen when you're out there,
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
right. You know what other movie remind me of? And it actually came out like earlier. Um, yeah, it came out earlier, like 2 years earlier. I was just as soon as like this isn't my top, but as soon as one of the guys was getting all paranoid and he pretty much broke all the machines and all the driving, all the fucking vehicles that you could like use to get away from that isolation, and they were trying to find him. What does that remind you of?
I don't know.
The Shining.
Oh, like the isolation
Yeah.
aspect.
Well, not
When
just
he
that.
had when he had, like, his frozen beard and shit,
No,
right?
no, no, I mean, not just that. I'm saying like when he was like really in the thick of it, when he was going insane, the first thing he did is he literally took down the vehicles to get them out of the freaking uh out to safety or out of like escape the place. That's literally what he
Mhm.
did, and it kind of reminded me of that. Like he was like the guys were actually going mad, and he's all like, "Oh fuck this! If I can't leave, then nobody's gonna fucking leave." Type of aspect. So it's like, oh, that kind of reminded me of The Shining a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they took a little bit of inspiration from that movie because it did came out like
He's a psycho.
2 years earlier. So it's like, oh shit, like
It's
this
that
could,
cabin fever fucking
yeah,
touch,
definitely.
you know?
I was gonna go on my second one. I'll just do the second one
Okay.
and then introduce the beer. Yeah,
Alright
sorry
then.
about that, folks. So, I guess I'll say my second scene, and yeah, we'll go into like honorable mention. My second scene, I just gotta fucking say, it was it's the scene that made the movie. It's the scene that's like, you know, you watch it,
In the picture,
you watch it in the picture, you watch it if you go to like film school.
you're talking about the poster scene, right?
No, is it? Is it? No, the poster scene is literally like just the
Well, I
guy
don't know
that's
what
just
it
like
is.
that.
You tell me.
My God,
What scene is it?
Manny, let me get to it. All right.
Get to
So
it.
it's waiting for your silence. So, the scene I'm talking about is when they get one of the guys. He apparently fainted, and then you have the doctor having to do his thing, and that he was literally about to like what do you call it, like the
Amputate him?
no,
Or
not
no,
amputate him. Zzz,
and like, give him the, um
give him the machine that basically like uh pumps up his heart rate or gets his heart rate running. It's like
yes,
electrical.
I know what you're
I don't.
talking
I
about.
never know. I never knew what it was called. I never knew all my life. I never knew what it was called. But he's basically
It's
gonna
called
do that.
damn, I know what it's called. Keep going. Keep talking.
Yeah. So he's literally gonna do that out over to his chest, but then his chest opens with a set of teeth, and then it closes on him, and it chops his fucking arms off. And then that's how you find out that that's the guy that's like everyone's been uh, trying to figure out that he's being mimic and stuff. And that's just fucking hella scary. Do I have a thing for that? Yeah, I do.
So the sweethearts are fucking
Defibrillator.
There you go. You gotta
I
Google
just
it.
have to put an end to you and Johnny
No, I
Pizza
didn't. It came off the top when I tried to
Ever
Google
occur
it.
to the jury that anybody could have got some of my clothes and stuck them up the furnace?
We ain't buying that.
Quit
We
that
ain't
bickering over
buying
there.
that,
Yeah,
mister.
find that,
Wait
mister.
wheel that defibrillator over here.
There it
Took me
is.
some of those panels.
You're gonna have to sleep sometime, McCready.
Oh, real light
McCree's
sleeper,
very
Childs.
yeah, at this point McCree's already paranoid. So he's just
Tries
like
to wake me.
doing a courtesy to save him.
Clear!
Oh my god. I'm not watching this is all audio, so
Clear!
Can't hear any of this.
really. The sound effects on this is really good.
Freaking animal. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, not only is like the visual effects cool, but also the sound effects for it is
Right.
pretty good. Because you hear like
Yeah.
the gooiness of the blood, and it's like it's kind of cheesy, but it works. And it's like,
It's like
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, like that.
So fucking gishy. Gishy.
This also reminds me of the thing. The thing also reminds me of especially when it's like burning. I think I'm not 100% clear, but there's these things in the Half-Life series, the video game, where there's this like this what do you call it? It's like a crab, and it goes on your face, and you basically turn into a zombie, and then like it kind of mutates you. It kind
Oh
of
shit.
reminds me of the thing a little bit because
Like
it
the
has like a lot.
crabbiness of it.
Yeah, because it has like especially like the fingers and stuff,
I
because
get
it
it.
looks like
I get
humans,
what you're
and then it's
saying.
like the long fingers and that and all that shit, and there's like
Yeah, just creepy.
this creepy. There's this part like in the
Creepy.
game where they burn it and they scream like really loud, and it's similar to like how the thing literally fucking screams out and
They
stuff. So it's
probably
just
got
like
they
that.
definitely got that shit from
Yeah,
there.
yeah. If you
That's
go,
that's how they did
if
it.
you Google that shit, like you can see the similarities. It's just like, oh yeah, but yeah, that's a top scene because that's all visual effects. That's the money shot. That's everything you need to know about like
The thing.
what the thing is about. Real,
Let's do final
literally.
thoughts on the thing.
Okay, no honorable mentions.
I mean, on the thing, Kurt Russell fucking I feel like that really gave him that opened the doors for him in Hollywood.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think it was a leading man before. The only other movie I could think of is Big Trouble in Little China, but I think that was like a couple of years ahead.
Yeah, that was
Pretty sure,
later
like
on
yeah, that
for
was later
sure.
on for sure.
That because he was used to working in that type of environment with like weird shit going on, like special effects and what have you, because of the thing. I feel like and I'm glad it did. I'm glad it opened those doors for them because shit, we wouldn't have had all the wonderful things we had with Kurt Russell, after that. And I just gotta talk about this tidbit. That beard that he had, he grew that shit for like a year before they started the movie.
Oh yeah, it's
All
crazy.
natural, which fucking that's what
That's
gave
how
it
you
the
do it.
touch.
That's how you
The
do it.
touch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I gotta mention like his opening is pretty cool. Well, not cool, but like you get to know like, oh, he's an everyday man, and he's just it's another day in the job, and he has like that bottle of J and B, and he's just like jugging that shit. I was like, wonder how long that shit took him. He probably had cases of that shit.
Who knows, man? He probably did. If that's his favorite, he had cases of that shit.
He's like,
We
yeah,
gotta have a shot of that. We gotta have a shot of that in
of J
the
and B.
when we come out with the post of him having that shit.
Yeah, I'll probably get a bottle, just like me
Are you
growing
ready to
out my
move
beard and
on?
show that shit.
We ready?
Ready for what? Ready to
The next for the extraterrestrial.
Oh yeah, final thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Is fucking it blew Kurt Russell out of the water.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's a
it
weak
did.
ass.
It
This,
fucking did. It did.
this is how you do it. It made his job. It made his career, and definitely as a leading man. And it also made John Carpenter a competent director to do this because you definitely get the vibes of Halloween, and he amplifies it even more. Because this isn't just like a horror movie. This is a shut-in paranoid movie that speaks a lot about like trusting people, or the impending dangers of like extraterrestrial life, and really
And
the
them
unknown,
around you and shit.
and everything. Which I could understand why like Quentin Tarantino actually put this as a staple for Hateful Eight, because it's literally like that movie itself, except there's no aliens.
Yeah,
The aliens or the monsters are the actual people
themselves. Yeah,
themselves,
the
which is I
people.
think that's the point, because in horror, like the real true horror is like within man, you know. And I think this is the movie that really puts the pin on it and really like tells you as it is. And I can see why John Carpenter was just, going in the direction of not making like a remake of that movie, but something of his own that he can make. And it's a chilling, atmospheric, and very well done, very um what do you call it, uh, a pinpoint in visual effects, or a landmark in visual effects as it
For
is.
sure. Yeah,
So
yeah,
kudos to that. Kudos to the crew. Kudos to Kurt Russell, Keith
yeah.
David,
Cheers to
the
that.
cast. So you know cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. Did you
Oh
open your beer?
shit, I'm out.
Did you open your other beer? I think it's time for another beer.
I think it's time for round 2.
I'm just
Okay,
getting more
so
of the
this
same.
okay, so I gotta say this. Okay, this is not a beer. This is an extraterrestrial. This is a cider. But hey, we're in the market,
To-
and
That's alien to us.
I really did have to contemplate over this, bringing this one on.
Okay.
But dude, you got to check out the artwork. I'll be right back. I got to bring the
Oh
case. I'll
my
be right
god, I
back.
thought
Fill
you
it
had
in.
it.
Tell them where to find us at.
So where you find this? You can find this at bleep 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 bleep. I'm just kidding. So I mean, we're at Golden Craft Cast on IG. If you haven't done so already, we're also on YouTube. We're also on freaking Anchor. We got the video podcast going on. So I mean, if you want to see our faces as
YouTube
opposed to
us.
hearing us,
That's our new
just do that shit.
campaign. Subscribe to our YouTube. We're fucking doing it, and
Yeah,
we're
YouTube.
actually getting results on YouTube. So I
Yeah,
guess it's coming out cleaner on there. I guess.
I guess so.
So check this shit out.
But
I had to get it because of this.
I could barely see.
It's an
I think I said.
astronaut on a bike.
Oh, I thought I. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, at Total Wine. Right. Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like, okay, I needed either a bike
Oh no,
or a
wait.
space scene, and
It
this
wasn't
hit
that.
both marks.
Yeah. Wait,
You
it
know what I'm
wasn't that.
saying?
I only saw one that had the space guy, but not the bike.
Yeah, this is a space guy on a bike,
Oh,
and
that's
he's
what it
like
is.
passing the two towns cider tree or whatever the fuck that is. And yeah, it's like a whole thing, and it's like I was like, that's perfect, bro. And he also has the tattoo of an apple on his shoulder,
How do
which
you
is pretty
like
cool.
them apples?
How do you like them apples? Is what I say.
Oh god.
So on our podcast, introducing the first cider we've ever had on the podcast. This is why it's no joke. It's an 8%er. Yeah.
What the hell? An
Yeah.
8%
It's
cider?
8%, bro. Straight
Ooh.
up.
Ooh. I'm gonna
It's
have me
there.
one of those. I'll
So,
get one of those.
made with Cosmic Crisp apples, the Cosmic Explorer is on a mission to explore new frontiers as we launch high gravity ciders into a zero gravity orbit using Cosmic Crisp apples. Hop on and prepare to send it with the original pioneer of the cosmos, Cosmic Crisp, crafted with fresh pressed Cosmic Crisp apples. They just keep repeating that Cosmic Crisp apples with the copyright on it. This Imperial Shredder will have you hucking craters and airing it out big in 0G, 8%er.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what they're about. So we're gonna try this cider. See how far they're sending it.
Sitting far away from this galaxy.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at you pouring it.
There we go.
I think you
Oh my gosh.
just pour it like all the way.
This
That's
is
it.
like water, dude.
Yeah, that's just not as carbonated as like.
Big comparison to the hazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's clear. That's exactly
It's clear.
That's exactly how it's gonna come out as it goes in. It just looks nothing but piss. What you think?
Putting my finger on it.
Still, it's like goddamn. It's like it's not the same confusing look, but it's like I'm not too sure.
Okay, because I've tasted Angry Orchard.
Yeah.
I've tasted other Two Towns. The Two Towns pineapple one is fucking delicious. This one right here, it's there, but it worries me because I don't taste the percentage.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. It's 8%, and I don't taste 8%. It tastes like a 5%
lighter?
or 4%.
So it's like on the same level as like an Angry Orchard.
Dude, like you could see my t-shirt through it. You could see my fingers through it. Like you could see what's going on here. Like it's
I'm saying the
clear.
taste.
It's very, very clear. It almost looks like Chardonnay. That's how clear it is.
God damn.
And it's crisp as promised.
Of course.
But I don't get why it's 8%. It's just
creeps
not
up-
there.
it's
We're
gonna
gonna
creep
find
up
out in
on
a little
you.
bit how 8%y it is.
That's just gonna creep up on you.
I know, fuck. Lord bless me, ET.
Well, he is sort of like Jesus, which is weird because Spielberg actually said like, "Oh, I don't know where you're getting those Jesus metaphor, but that's completely by coincidence. I'm a Jewish man. I don't do Jesus. We
He
actually
does-
crucified him. My mom will kill me if I do that."
He really did say that?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. Well, they
This feels
interviews.
off the
Yeah, they literally said like, "Oh yeah, I'm not making a Jesus metaphor. I'm Jewish. My mom would actually kill me if I did that." That's what he said.
Oh my god. Well, now
That's
you know.
funny. Yeah.
The
there
more
you
you
go.
know.
There you go.
So let's step
get
step
into that.
into it.
Step to it.
Step
So,
in time.
on the lighter notes, we're talking about ET, which actually came out a few months earlier than the thing.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah.
I wish I had a piano so I could just sorry.
Imagine. You could totally do it. I'll laugh.
Happening.
If it's a cover, then I think we're gonna override the copyrights. But anyways,
But
iconic.
okay, this is
iconic
why
music.
I kind of wanted to save ET for last.
Why? Oh,
There's a
somber
lot of
note.
memorable scenes.
Somber
One,
notes. Yes.
but two, we rode the ride as kids.
Oh god.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Went to Universal Studios and we rode the rides.
Goodbye, Sergio.
Oh my god.
When it said your name. Goodbye, Angelica.
Oh my god.
The technology wasn't there, but it was fucking funny. It was like all
But
robotic.
not only that, but like, dude, they tried. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Okay, so this is my thing. How did they know the names? You have to fill out a piece of paper or something?
Yeah. From what I remember,
Was-
yeah, you have to like sign the paper and then you'll give it to the person and whatnot. And I think that goes through a machine or something or someone. Or I think it's someone that's actually
Someone that
I
presses the buttons to
yeah,
to
I
like
was
make
yeah,
it
I always
happen.
thought it was just someone that was like doing like a voice box out of it. But I
Yeah.
wasn't too sure because it was kind of a little rusty. Not rusty,
No,
but
it
just
was
a little.
it was definitely computer generated because
Yeah.
that shit was off point. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It
So I
was
just
there, but
like,
it wasn't.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So I was just like, I think it was generated by something, but I don't know.
All right. Before we go
I don't
into
know.
the ride, let's talk about the actual fucking movie that started it all.
Uh,
You know, do you want to give a preface?
yeah. So basically, it's about an alien who lands on Earth, and it's a colony of them, and one of them actually doesn't make it back to the ship before like a group of men actually discover them. So this
Or the ambush?
isolated alien has to go through town, and then he stumbles upon the backyard of like a young boy's yard, and eventually, you know, he figures out what it is, and the two become friends, and buy a they have like a complete bond between each other, and also his siblings, and basically the government knows what's up, and the government wants to like analyze ET, and they discover they have a bond, and spoiler alert, he actually does die at one point, only to get somehow resurrected, and then um now he's able to go back home because he phoned his home
He fun at the
earlier. He
home.
phoned the home earlier, so now they're coming, and at the right time, he gets picked up exactly where they left him off, and it's a heartfelt moment because it was a couple of days of that boy's life that he will always cherish, and us as an audience will cherish for a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
Yep, great cinema right there.
Dude, if you show this movie to a pack of second graders, I feel like you're gonna get a 50-50 response nowadays.
Yeah,
You'd be like, "What the hell is going on? What is this?"
I feel like they're
What
just gonna be like,
Yeah, they're
wait,
not gonna
what?
be into it, dude.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't know, like, because they don't know. Kids don't know nowadays the trouble
No.
they had to go through to get the shots that they did. I mean, even ET overlooking and walking through and looking at the city
Yeah.
before he walks in the main scene, like in the beginning scene, that shit was fucking all like not CGI, but it was like
Actually, some of those shots were CGI.
Walt Disney's like panorama effects. So it was like the front scene was
Yeah.
like grass and like bushes and hill and stuff, and then after that it was a lithopane of city lights and stuff like that, like an image of city lights that was glowed up,
Hmm.
and then behind that there was the sky. So they
Yeah.
were able to put the camera in this small area and just capture all of this shit, with the little dude walking. And then, oh man, I just
Do you know who was
like
pl- Do you know who was playing ET?
two people.
It was two people, right?
It was two people, and
It was a little
I
person.
feel bad because I don't know who.
It was a little person that did half of the time, and it was also a kid that had no legs, so he
Yeah,
was inside the suit. I don't remember the names of both of them, but they seemed like they had a blast, like doing all that shit. Most of it, again, we're playing with prosthetics here too.
Michael
So
Patrick Billon, apparently.
which one is that? Who's who?
He uh, it doesn't say, man.
Oh, well,
I'm
at least we're
trying my
saying
best
names.
here.
Yeah, at
Pat
least we're saying the
Billon, I
names out
think
there.
what might have been the small person,
Could be the kid, but
but yeah, they actually came out with like a whole thing about like a whole article back in the day about these two actors that played ET, and it was a little person and a kid with no legs,
yeah.
which I thought was fucked up because in the beginning, one of the lines that Drew Barrymore says was like, "What if it's a deformed kid?" And I was like,
Uh,
"Fuck." I was like, "It is a
I did.
deformed kid."
It is.
It's fucked up, dude. Uh,
Oh, I didn't even think
Aside
about
from it
that.
being one of Drew Barrymore's, that was her leading role. That was like her first fucking big role, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Um, I believe she was like the best pick out of all the kids. I think the girl from Poltergeist, the little girl, I think she was running for it, but I think she was too busy doing Poltergeist because Poltergeist and ET, also the same year, actually were both going through with that production, and both were actually produced by Steven Spielberg. We'll get into that later.
Matthew Demerit. I feel that was that was a kid without legs. That
Either or, yeah. At least we gave out those shout outs to those names.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was. So I mean, like that just, and he was like film's 40th anniversary, right? He made a rare appearance, and he was on a
Oh,
freaking
really?
one of those skateboards that you can control with your hands,
Oh, the
like the
little.
ones that you wanted, bro.
Yeah.
It literally shows them. Check it out.
Dude, that's so sick. Oh, shit. Dang, he's a grown ass man
Fucking
now.
crazy, man.
That's
40 years
fucking
old. He's like,
crazy.
guess what? I was ET.
I was ZT. That's how I
He
got this
probably
board.
pulled so many bitches. It was like,
I'm
I
like,
was ET. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
You know?
I'll
But I
be
mean,
right
like, okay, all
here.
jokes aside, though, okay? I mean, this was another movie, special effects wise, that was fucking out there. That was really dope.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but the writing for this movie was heartfelt. It wasn't like The Thing. It wasn't meant for an audience that was older. It was meant for, I mean,
Everyone.
not even for a little kids. It was just
It's
meant
just
for
for
the
everyone.
family.
Yeah, it's
It was
meant
for
for everyone.
everybody. This was probably, in my mind, the first special effects film that kind of followed like some Pixar kind of vibes, in the
Yeah.
aspect of one of Pixar's things is do something familiar but something new, which is what they did.
Right.
I point out the scene from Halloween where he sees Yoda.
Yeah.
Like that's seeing Yoda, and like also when he was showing him like the little action figures that he had and they were fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those were Star Wars figurines.
Yeah.
And he was kind of pulling that world into ET and like just showing him like this is what the world is, and like something familiar but something new, and the new thing was ET. And
Yeah.
like
They were trying to ground it more into like, okay, well, this is what we think aliens are, but we know that you're the real alien. And to them, it's foreign to them. It's alienated to them in that sense. So
reals
it's a yeah, it's a funny irony in itself, really.
it just really, I don't want to say it didn't put me on edge as much. I feel like as a kid it probably did, but I really feel like a lot of the 80s vibes and 80s things even definitely affected Stranger Things, and
Yeah,
the
definitely.
brothers, the Duffer brothers kind of taking the ideas of what was cool back in the 80s and using that in their series.
Yeah.
For example, the first scene when you actually see inside the home, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Hmm.
which as a kid I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know that shit. But now watching as an
As
adult,
an
it's like,
adult,
oh,
you're
they're
like,
playing
oh,
D&D.
oh, that's where they got it from. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they got that shit from. Is because like back in the days, you would have your friends come over, you play D&D, get some pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is all Stranger Things wrapped that shit in a fucking nice,
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah,
package
if
and
anything,
delivered it.
ET is the foundation of how Stranger Things, pretty much started. It's like, oh, it's a childhood like story, and they're about to find out like, the darker side of the mystery behind it. Just like in this movie, like ET's like, it's just about this kid that's just like, he doesn't have that much friends, and something that's like beyond the familiar actually goes into the unknown, and actually it's like um the mystery unfolds to something that's like actually nice, as opposed to like Stranger Things where it's like a little bit more darker. But I mean,
Right.
the staple's right there, really. It's just like starting off from point A to like point whatever B is, in that sense. Good start.
I mean, one thing that I noticed, and oh, by the way, there's a new series out. This could probably be on uh
Sip on
the
this.
sip on this later,
Oh
but I'd
yeah.
rather just talk about it now because it does kind of play a role in what this movie is ILM did a lot of the scenes for this, like the special effects on ET, and the budget for special effects on ET was a lot lower than The Thing. It was a lot lower than Indiana Jones. It was a
Yeah.
lot lower than Star Wars. It was a lot lower than Jurassic Park. Like ET was a very special effects wise low budget
You
special
see,
effects
yeah.
movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you definitely see it.
And there's some scenes where it's like, okay, they sold it. They just fucking sold it. And some of the scenes, like the bikes taking off, they said that they filmed that as like, oh, we're just gonna do a poor man scene. We're just gonna take the bikes and just pull them off the frame and just make them look like they're
They're flying
just
off.
pulling off the frame. And this when I started realizing when they light the models and when they light certain things at ILM, they didn't have a green screen. They had a black backdrop. So that's why you see a lot of special effects in like Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, ET, when stuff is floating, like that scene where he like puts everything together and like makes them float and like puts them together. Like the reason that it's like has like a silhouette almost like a little black kind of outline on outside of it is because they were using these black curtains behind it. They were filming all of this with black curtains and just compositing it into the actual scene.
Yeah. I would
You
have
know
thought.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I would have thought it would be like blue screen. 'Cause blue screen
No,
was like the
dude,
thing that
they
they
didn't even
used.
have blue screen back then. They were using straight black because they thought, oh well, black captures all the light. It absorbs it.
Yeah.
Matte black absorbs all the light. So we can cut out all the extra shit by just cutting out the black light, which was true. And then that also explains why a lot of the special effects were a little bit lighter than the actual film color, if you think about it,
Yeah.
right? Like in Star Wars, you see that a lot. Like some of the ships, some of the planets and stuff, they're a little bit lighter than the rest of the movie. Like they just look a little bit lighter,
Just a
you
little
know?
bit lighter.
And I mean, obviously, after they came out with the 20th anniversary edition, they redid all that shit.
Yeah. Which
You want to talk about some of that?
it looks terrible. I don't think I remember any of that because I was just like watching the movie for what it is. I honestly I didn't realize that they actually replaced the guns with like fucking um with like satellite with the what do you call it? It
Walkie
was a
talkies.
walkie-talkie. Well, it was like a satellite walkie-talkie. Well, they call
It
it
was a
something
big
else.
ass walkie talkie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the satellite
They
phone.
basically like replaced those, and I never noticed that before until someone really pointed it out. ET was actually CGI'd more, especially when he first found him, like in the tall grass.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all puppet, and he's just like screaming like "ee," like you could actually see something that's physical.
Sound like a goat. It's
Yeah.
weird.
So sorry. So
Yeah, that's why I cut you off right there. Thank God for technology.
so he yeah. I don't know. It looked weird. It's just like why would you do that? But I think it was because like I mean Spielberg, him being friends with like George Lucas, which obviously has a lot of influence like in this movie. Um, this is at a time where he discovered CGI, or he was using CGI during his prequels. So they said like, okay, well we're gonna remaster this, so why don't we just use CGI? It'll look better. It doesn't. You just leave it as it is, because um,
Look,
those
this
things
is what I
actually
gotta
kind
say
of
about
ruined
that.
that shit.
This is what
But
I gotta say about that.
okay, I was
What
gonna
they
add on
wanted to
more.
do was what they did for Star Wars,
Right.
which was revamp a lot of the environment, revamp some of the action shots, make them a little bit more fluid, kind of give you like another world perspective. But like,
Yeah.
dude, in ET, I feel like ET, some of the shots were very what's the word I'm looking for? Like very
Shoddy.
intimate,
Okay. I was gonna
and
be
because of
more
that, it
shoddy.
didn't work as well.
Yeah.
It was really hard to translate CGI and the skin tones and all the shading and all that shit
Yeah.
to redo over that old 1980s footage, bro. And they definitely got the actual copy of all the film that they got. because you can see that it's there, but it just it doesn't give you that same feeling. And I feel like, man, that's the battle now, right? It's the
Yeah.
practical effects versus CGI. Now it's like, dude, even though CGI is awesome and fucking amazing and great, and you can basically do whatever the fuck you want, it does not sell like practical effects.
Yeah.
And I feel like they rendered a lot of the images through practical effects to, and that's what sold that heartfelt feeling, like you could connect with ET as a character.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was
Yeah.
it was more like that he could be on your couch and chilling with you.
Yeah, it wasn't something that it looked like you could feel in touch. If anything, practical effects, like you feel like you could pretty much feel and touch that shit. You know,
Wh-
I think
What
that
was
authenticity of that was good, but I think it was just the fact that it would look animated, especially like if going back to that scene where he finds him in the tall grass. Like I think the thing that pops out is his eyes, you know, because his eyes isn't like fluid or reflective. It just looks like animated, you know.
yeah.
And the rest of this, I mean, like you said, the skin tones wasn't right because of the lighting and the shading and whatnot. But I mean, just having something like real that was made like that seemed like real skin. I think that's like way more intimate than anything else. Like I don't think like CGI actually like enhanced it or anything like that. Like I kind of get why, because the like I said, they replaced the guns with like fucking satellite fucking devices. Only because it was like, this is a family movie. Why the hell do they have like, a snub nose? Why do the agents have a snub
Because in the
nose? And
80s,
it's just like,
it was
they don't.
fucking gung ho.
It was gun ho, so it's just like, that's how it was. Like realistically, U.S. agents have fucking guns, bro. And you're telling me like, oh, you're gonna replace it with walkie talkie? I mean, yeah, they also do have walkie talkies, but don't replace that shit. It's like, that takes away the danger. That takes away like,
Exactly.
bro, like,
That's the whole thing, and I feel like that is a reason. Like, I mean, them shying away from the history of guns through movies like E.T. and like whatever else. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Fucking even Ratatouille. You know what I'm saying? It just
keep going.
it just gives it a different perspective, and when you're looking at it as a child and as an adult, there's still that impactful danger that you get when you're watching a movie. It's a weapon, it's being used, it's like something that's like they're after this fucking thing. Like it just almost them having the weapon shows a sense of urgency, but also danger on the fact that they're willing to get ET at all costs.
Yeah,
A walkie-talkie does not sell, I'm going to get this being at all costs. It sells, we're playing it safe.
right.
Which, I mean, look, we get it. It's America. There's a shooting almost every other month, every other week, in all kinds of aspects and shit. Like, it's fucking crazy out here. But to dilute that scene and dilute art, I feel will not impact America the way that they think it would. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like the impact that I feel that they're making by turning that shotgun into a walkie-talkie isn't there. It's not there.
yeah. I mean, here are you kidding? You can't really gloss over those type of things, like you said. It's just, this movie was made with that intention that they things are at stake. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, you could
Yeah.
replace it with like a walkie-talkie. Like I said, it does make sense, but I mean, you're also, you know, they're not shooting at them at all. It's just like them having to show the gun is just to front something like we're serious about this. Like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that they
Well, I
didn't
mean,
shoot, like the fact that they didn't shoot as well, is that they were also amazed. So it kind of glossed over, like,
right.
uh,
Exactly.
we
That
can't know
it
that.
just shows like the
Like, oh,
amazement between the whole thing. And I
yeah,
also feel like, like throughout the movie you see these different times and you don't as a kid, I remember watching E.T. and thinking, what the fuck is going on? Like, who are these people? Until you realize it's the government.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, like he's actually dealing with some
Yep.
real life problems. Like
Yeah.
they're after this fool, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also you gotta, in some ways, Spielberg actually. Oh, I gotta say that. Well, Spielberg actually did make like an alien movie before this, so in some sense, it's like a spiritual like sequel to that movie to uh the Third Kind, yeah, Close Encounters of the
Yeah.
Third Kind,
Close Encounters of the
and that
Fourth
also,
Kind, Third
yeah,
Kind.
Third Kind. And that also like involved the government as well. So it's like, when you involve something with aliens, the government is also there. So, they kind of
Yeah.
go hand in hand. So you really do
Yeah.
have to have that and just really ground that into like that reality of that world. Even if it's, like a heartfelt movie like this, like you just, you got to have it because, you know,
I want to
people are
get
curious.
deeper into the special effects and what I saw on the light and magic
Go ahead.
thing, but I
Yeah.
gotta urinate because you're right. This apple crisp is going right through me.
Yeah. The
I'll be right
8% is
back.
really working. It's going to come out as it came in. As we'll always say. So, yeah, this movie is like really heartfelt and very intimate to our hearts. Um, I remember when the 20th anniversary actually came out. I think I was like 12 because it came out in 2002. Yeah, 2002. And yeah, like I said, I didn't know it was a CGI. I'm either stupid or just ignorant about it. But either way, I watched it. I watched that edition as an adult now, and it's just like, oh shit, I didn't notice that. But I mean, that's the thing about it. Like the CGI that was coming through the early 2000s, George Lucas actually wanted to, you know, implement that or, put that as a stable. I was like, oh, this is the new visual effects. Anything is possible. I mean, we should probably implement it into like our new movies or our old movies now that we know the technology. So just put that in there. I mean, it's cool that they did. I mean, nowadays, like we said, like there's people that actually like deep fake actors into different actors into movies that they weren't in, like the Terminator with Sylvester Stallone, like being asked the Terminator in T2. It works very well, you know. Um, I mean, it's a fascinating thing to actually, know how to composite like visual effects because now the access to that is limitless. And now more than ever, like people have different programs to use, After Effects or, different visual effects programs to do, you know, pretty much anything really. And, it's limitless. But I mean,
Not
that was
only
just the evidence.
limitless, but within the special effects game, like there was a lot of different renders and sketches of what the ET character would look like and the species. And they went through like a good number of them
Yeah.
before they came up to what ET would actually look like,
Uh,
which was like kind of like they said it was a mix of Albert Einstein and
the other
another
guy
philosopher.
and a
I don't know
pug
what the fuck his name is,
and a
but
pug.
and a what?
A pug.
And a pug,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a
So they
combination of
mix
those two
these
dudes.
things together to kind of like make this weird character.
Yeah, it's a weird
Um,
design.
I think even more interestingly enough about this movie, not only did it make a wave in the movie theaters,
Yeah.
but it also made a wave in popular culture because they also came out with books and like all kinds of like fucking coloring books and like a story
A
like
video game.
like a read along story
Yeah.
with Drew Barrymore as a little kid,
Mm.
you know? And like all these things were piling up and Steven Spielberg even put his stamp on an ET video game that he
Yeah.
had to view, that he had to look at. And
It came out
it
that
was
Christmas.
shit.
It was shit. He fell in
Long
holes.
story short, it was so bad they ended up burying it in the desert.
People
New
actually talk
Mexico.
about that shit for years, and they say like, I cannot put that out of my brain. It was really the worst fucking game ever. I don't know what the fuck was that.
And now people want to buy it again
And people want
because
to
of
buy
how
it for
bad it
price
was.
for fucking value over that shit. So,
What are
going,
what's the irony out of that? I
yeah,
don't fucking know. It's weird.
I don't know. Look, when this movie started off, like Spielberg wanted to actually make like a movie about a little bit about himself, almost a little autobiographical about growing up in like those settings and also going through a
So he was
divorce.
Elliot.
Yeah, so in a way he was Elliot.
He was the weirdo.
And no, get this, like he actually wanted to make Elliot autistic, but I think
No, I mean,
there's an implication that he is. You know, and I definitely see it because in interviews, like Spielberg does actually describe this movie as like an autistic kid that finds an alien life form and befriends him,
I
which
feel like that's
you do.
really important. Now, that's what they should have fucking pinpointed in the new version.
Yeah,
They should have put those scenes in that really told that story about that kid because that is what it was about. And I mean, even then, like, oh man, I was that kid. Like everybody was that kid at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like a kid that wanted to just fit in and be part of the rest of the gang. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? AKA in the beginning scene when they're playing D&D, he's like, "Oh, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to play." He's like, "Oh, you can't ask me. You have to ask the game master." And it was his own brother that told him that.
yeah,
He was like, "All right." He's like, "You buy his pizza, you're in." You know? And he
yeah,
ended up buying the pizza, but because of the whole situation he had with ET in the shed, he ended up dropping the pizza and they were like, "Nice one, dumbass. You
yeah.
dropped the pizza."
So it
And
made
he's
him
like,
look
"Oh, I
even
didn't mean
worse.
to." Like he was
Yeah,
like legitimately heartfelt sorry because he was scared out of his fucking pants
yeah.
about what he just saw inside the shed.
It's yeah, you definitely get. They were also considering that Elliot should have a friend, but I don't think that would have been a good idea because I think
They
the
were gonna
point.
cast Corey Feldman.
Yeah, but of course he went into doing fucking Gremlins, which was a way
Well,
better role for him.
they promised him a role and they gave him Gremlins instead,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
which is a
I think
dope
it works.
fucking
Yeah,
movie to
it
be
works
part
way
of
better
too.
in that movie. He works way better in
But
that movie as that
but
friend.
check this out. Did you know this tidbit?
What?
They actually wanted to make an ET2.
Yeah, they did. So actually, in some way, if you ever seen that movie Fire in the Sky, uh Henry Thomas is actually in that movie, the guy that plays Elliot, and he gets abducted by aliens and gets anally probed.
Oh god.
Sorry.
No, ET.
L.E.T., what are you doing? I'm not a T, bro. I'm a different race. I'm about to go. Let's not get
Take
into
it, bro.
that.
Holy shit. And
Yeah.
now I gotta watch. Now, like, that is crazy. What year did that come out in?
I think that came out in the 90s. Bro, literally, I didn't know about this movie until my dad was watching that movie. And then
Is
I
that
like
Elliot?
stepped by. No, I stepped by, and then he pointed that out. And he's like, "You know that kid?" I was like, "No." I was like, "That's the kid from ET." I was like, "Oh shit, it is." I was like, "Yeah, he's in this movie too." And I was just like, "Oh fuck."
Dude, we
But
should do an episode with our dads
we should.
and we'll talk about their favorite movies growing up.
Yeah,
Like, and we'll only do 2 movies. Only 2 movies that they could talk about. But like, dude, they'll have so much information because they literally grew through the blockbusters and all that shit.
yeah, that's true.
Like,
Because they
they were
actually,
alive
he
during that
literally,
time, bro.
they literally came into this country when fucking Star Wars was like,
Yeah, for
happening,
reals.
and they got to watch all these movies like basically all the good 70s movies. That's what they got to live through.
I
And I,
mean,
I
but
envy that.
that's what I'm saying you is like we shouldn't envy that because like that's what makes us us. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, this movie in a way is part of the reason we're doing Golden Craft Cast is because like our folks passed this movie on to us.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other folks out there, like your older folks pass this movie on to you, and like you learned from it. What did you learn? Don't ride your bike late at night.
I think that's the point of
You know,
Stranger Things, but yeah.
wear a gray Halloween costume.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
if you see something you don't expect, you know, if it's friendly, make friends with it. Who knows what's gonna happen? You know,
yeah, definitely. And I was gonna make another point on that. Oh yeah, this movie was actually considered to be a little bit more darker. And they actually
oh,
had
the part
designs.
two,
Yeah,
the part two
not
that they
part
wanted to
2.
do, right?
No. When ET was like in pre-production was just a concept. They were saying like, "Oh, let's make like they actually had like another story
They
for an
wanted to
alien
make a
movie.
scary
Yeah,
movie out of
where
it.
the kids or a family was trapped in like a barn while the aliens were trying to terrorize them and stuff. But he said, "No, it's too dark." So he just said he calmed it down to like what he knows best, and wanted to make it about like an autistic boy going through a divorce, which we kind of get implications of it, but it wasn't the central thing about this movie. Like it's just like, and you
You know,
kind of see the
watching it
mom.
back, you're right. Watching
Yeah,
it back as an adult now, it's like, fuck, dude. Like, she's like, when she goes and has that scene, she's like, oh, she's with, blah 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 in Mexico,
yeah.
and then she's
Which
like, he
basically all
never
the
liked Mexico. He
yeah,
never liked Mexico. It's like,
and it just
ah.
fucking
And the older brother
hurts.
is like, I'm gonna beat your ass
Yeah, for
because that
fucking
that was the
bringing that
80s
shit
vibe.
up. Yeah,
That was the 80s vibe. Was
yeah,
older brothers kicking your ass.
yeah. I mean, that's the only implication you get. Like, oh yeah, the dad left. And that was all through like the acting of the mom, which was played by Dee Williams. Which shout out to her because she did a good job in that movie. Um, this is another thing to point out too. If if you look at her like at the end of the movie while they're saying goodbye to ET, like her performance in that just says it all. It's just like, I mean, we did mention that we were saying like he is an autistic boy and he has hard times like belonging somewhere. And then here he is like, showing love to like this thing that's not even a part of this world. And I didn't know about this, but this is the happiest I've ever seen like my kid like actually be since the divorce. So like you see that throughout that act, that last part, and it's just like, it tells everything about like what's going on in the dynamic between like the mom and the son, and the whole thing
I
about
mean,
the whole divorce.
yes.
You know?
Seeing about that whole divorce thing, but then there was one scene that stood out to me as I was watching it today. I watched it today,
Mm.
and uh one thing that stood out to me was when they were in the garage to find like all of ET's stuff, right?
Right.
And they're talking about, hey, remember when we used to go out to baseball games? We used to like have popcorn fights and blah 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 blah. And like they're talking about stuff they used to do with their dad, right?
Yeah.
And there's another dude listening on the phone. I almost feel like that was their dad.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way, but yeah, in that some sense, it's like maybe that guy's a dad too. And then as he's hearing it, yeah, he's doing his job, but also like I'm doing a surveillance over these kids that are like missing their dad. So he probably has his own thoughts on it as
No,
well.
no, no. Like I felt like in that moment,
Like it was actually his actual dad.
it was actually his actual dad, and he just said, "I'm going with Sally to Mexico," because he's like a real fucking CIA agent, and he can't tell them what the fuck he's doing.
I don't know. I think
That's my
I think that's someone
speculation, bro.
said.
Because why would they put that scene in there of somebody listening on the phone of all that intimate things that they used to do with their father, and like have it be like somebody behind a phone that wasn't present but is present?
Yeah. I
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
pretty sure that guy that was like listening in is the fucking keys guy. That's actually what they call him, keys. Because he saw the fucking keys in the beginning of the movie, and you didn't get to see his face until like
When you
close to that
see
shit.
him pull up to the forest, like Billy pull up to the
Yeah, yeah,
forest, and like he sees that dude just walking around, and he like hides from that dude, right?
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
I
played
mean, it
by.
could be, but
Oh,
like to me it was like, why did they show that scene so intricately and like all the
I think
dialogue
that was
that
it.
went down?
I think that was the implication, just to feel for it, just to make you think that in that certain way. You know what I mean? Um, uh,
Confuse the
context.
audience in a way.
No, context. I think
Confuse.
it's just context. I think
I
that's
mean,
what it
but
is.
it is confusing though. It is confusing from the beginning. Like I said, as a little kid, I didn't really understand what the fuck was going on with like these people trying to chase ET. Like in the beginning, there was like people trying to chase
Yeah,
ET.
because he's an alien. It was like their curiosity, like, because obviously
Right.
they saw something in the forest, and then, you know, they're pinning it down to like that event, and they literally saw like lights, flashing off, and
Dude,
it's like
I,
there's
I would
something in the
love to
forest.
see
There's something in the forest.
I would love to see a prequel of ET.
Oh my
See
god.
like them leading up to like, oh my god, what's
Go to
going
his
on?
home
What is
planet.
this? Blah 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 blah.
Oh,
All right, let's go to top two.
wait, can I say a couple of things? Just
Say some things.
a round of
I'm
like
gonna grab another
tidbits.
ET beer.
I want you to hear this. But all right. Fucking ET is not a boy or a girl. Is non-binary. That's what Steven Spielberg said. So he's not either. He's neither a boy or a girl. So I mean, this is before, like, we come to this age that everything's pinned down to a gender, and here we are saying, like, Spielberg, even years before that, he said, like, oh yeah, ET doesn't have any genders. His species doesn't have any genders. He's basically plant based. Plant based. So yeah, he's non-binary. As man, he's fixing his fucking hat. Did you know about that?
Fixing the hat.
Yeah.
Uh, I also heard a weird rumor from the Australian guy that we're gonna mention later. Is his name was Zrek.
Yeah. I heard that too. It's kind of
I
weird.
don't know what that's about, but hey, it's a thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna talk about it.
All right. So
Top two.
yeah. So Reese's Pieces is like, advertised here, or a byproduct of this movie. And originally they were gonna go to, I think, M&M's or Hershey's or something, but they saw
They
they
got a
saw the
candy
design.
company on this.
Yeah, they saw the design of ET, and they said, like, "Oh, this thing's so ugly. We're not gonna fucking back this up. Fuck that." So they went over to Reese's, and they agreed to do it. So now we have that candy company to actually,
Okay,
be
but
a
to
big drag
me,
in
do
that
you
shit.
understand like business wise the intricacy of Spielberg's plan? He's like, there's gonna be a Halloween scene. Oh my god, we can get funding from bam bam bam.
Yeah, I get that. And then
You know what I'm
also to
saying? That's
have, yeah,
fucking smart, dude.
also to have candy there, it's a staple of what it is. And it's like, oh,
In
we're
the
using
80s,
that
that was the
candy
shit.
yeah, you're having candy to use this as like a device to, like, lure this thing in. They could have got M&Ms, but they said, like, oh, this thing looks fucking ugly. We're not gonna back this shit up. And we just said, like, hey, can you back this up? They say, yeah, we're gonna be a byproduct of your fucking movie. So yeah, congrats. What was the other one? Oh,
Wait, so these we're talking
so
about top twos. Is the Reese's Pieces scene we're talking
no,
about
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying I'm still going through my rounds of, like, fucking tidbits.
tidbits,
Yeah. So my
tidbits,
other one
tidbits,
is
tidbits. Sorry, I'm trying to make a break. I don't know. I got to come up with something for it.
um
Could be a
so
guitar like pew, pew.
the guy that plays keys, Peter Coyote, he actually narrates the documentary. Uh, fuck, I'm forgetting the name of it, but we watched it. It was the movie that basically, like, clarifies that the government actually, um basically saying, like, yeah, aliens do exist.
We watched it.
We didn't watch it together, but we watched it before. Like, we were talking about it for a cool minute. and we
The
actually did
Fourth
talk about.
Kind.
No, it wasn't the fourth kind. It was the documentary, like the phenomenon. That's what it was called. The
Oh yeah,
documentary.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that's different. That was straight a documentary.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's what I said.
that was with Dr. Stephen Greer.
Was it?
That's what they talk.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's what
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah. Yeah.
on Joe Rogan podcast all the fucking time.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes they do, but anyways, that documentary was narrated by Peter Coyote, who actually plays the guy that with the keys.
Hmm.
That's narrated, and so that's like a little connection between the
Yeah.
here and there. What was my other one? Yeah. So the original, like I said before, like the original movie that we're going for that was supposed to be like more horror like, but Spielberg actually scrapped it and made this instead. They actually made designs of the alien, but as they were like going into a different direction, they were also changing the concept of how the alien would look. So they just
Yeah.
made his head a little bit more rounder into like the concept or the look of what we know as ET as. So we got that. Um Also Drew Barrymore wasn't really like I mean, she was a kid actor, so she wasn't really on point sometimes. And the scene at the dinner where they were talking about like um I guess
Play
it
the
was just
clip
the family dinner. I don't have that clip, but
where Elliot calls him
yeah.
penis breath.
Penis breath,
It's like,
Elliot.
I know what I saw. Penis breath. I was like, fuck, that is bold. That is bold as a kid.
Is that your
And
top
you know what?
scene?
I think I remember asking, what's that mean? As a kid. And they
Really?
were just like, da 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 da. It was
I was
one of those
like,
moments.
I felt like it was just something that kids made up. That's what I took out of it. Yeah.
Dude, a lot of the burns in that movie of
Look,
like fuck you,
that
like as a kid where they
yeah,
were really is eccentric and very like
out there.
uh no, not out there, like really specific, bro. Like they knew what they were talking about.
Yeah. Well, what was I saying? You motherfucker, you sidetracked it. Look,
Sorry.
so that whole
You
scene,
said
like
the scene where
yeah, 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 yeah. He had, yeah,
Drew
yeah.
Barrymore at the dinner
He had,
table.
yeah. She basically, gave that scene a hard time. She couldn't remember her lines to the point where like Spielberg was actually frustrated and actually like screamed at her. And then she started crying. And then after a while, he's just like felt bad for a while. And then he like hugged her and said like, "I'm sorry. Like we just need to get this scene done." So I think, I honestly like what I took away from that tidbit is like, fuck, like even Spielberg has like limits and shit. Because honestly, like the way I think about him is he's pretty nice and he's just like a calm dude. But for the fact for
Nah,
him to like
man.
actually
That fool's a
scream,
dick.
he's not a
That's
dick.
what I got from him.
I don't think so.
Dude, I feel like he was like, I want what I want, and I want it right now. And I'm gonna find. If you can't do it, I'm gonna find someone else
I
to
feel
do it.
like he's.
That was kind of his vibe.
I feel like he's
You know,
kind
I
of
feel
got
like
like
George Lucas was more of the cool one. Who was
no,
like, if he didn't like something, he would kind of be quiet about it.
no. Look,
Spielberg would be like, that shit, like fucking scrap all this. We're doing it over again with somebody else.
no.
Like that was Spielberg's vibe,
I
I
felt
think.
like that was more Kubrick ish of that, but I think like Spielberg was like a down step from being a Kubrick, but he did have
I
his
mean, he was
frustrations.
working with kids,
Yeah,
so
he
I'll give
did
him
have
that.
his frustrations, but also he was trying to be cool with like the kids. And you definitely see that like on the behind the scenes where he was actually cool because in a way he actually was a kid himself. Cause he's met fucking dicks before, like director dicks. And and I think he took away from it like I don't want to be like this guy, but I also want to make the best movie possible, and I know it's gonna be frustrating. I think he did have like a strong voice on his projects, and like I said, going back to George Lucas, I think George Lucas wasn't like clear enough on things, and he wasn't like adamant about stuff, but he just like kept it
I
rolling
mean,
and just went
they
on.
kind of explain some of these theories in Light and Magic.
Right.
They show that Spielberg was kind of, I feel like he was more of a hands-on. I mean,
Yeah,
both of them were
they were both
hands-on, but
hands-on.
like Spielberg was hands-on in a different way in his approach, as far as like he would give the story to somebody else because he didn't write it. His wife wrote it, I think, or
No,
like his girlfriend wrote it at
no,
the
no,
time.
no, no. Okay, that's the other tidbit. It was actually George. I was gonna say George. It was actually Harrison Ford's then wife that he met on the set of Raiders of the Lost Ark. That he met up with her, and she's actually the screenwriter of this
Or
movie
E.T.
of ET.
and
Wives again.
and Spielberg
It was
added
there.
like several scenes to it. Like he added like I think 3 different scenes. One of them was a Halloween scene. The other one was him getting drunk off beer,
Yeah, that was
which
one of
is like why Elliot breaks all the frogs out because he was drunk apparently. And the mom gets a call saying, "Oh, Elliot intoxicated. Are you sure you have the right Elliot?"
them.
Because they were transferring energies. Like it was weird.
Yeah,
Like it was like that weird extraterrestrial, I don't know what the fuck was going on kind of deal, but like it's like that piece of information is there. Like when she gets the call from the school saying, "Come pick up Elliot, he's drunk." And he ends up kissing some girl, like while
yeah.
doing it, which is like for an autistic kid, like for him to step in that light and be that guy that like,
He became
it,
that
it
better
was
version of himself
it's
in
a
that sense.
heroic kind of aspect,
Yeah, especially when it got what do you call it? Cross cut with like ET watching that movie. Um, that movie, by the way, is called the shit. It's a John Wayne movie where he goes to Ireland and he meets up with Maureen
E.T.
O'Hara. No, that's stupid. No, it's called The Quiet Man, which was directed by John Ford, and John Ford is actually one of like Spielberg's like one of his idols. And there's a story. We'll get it. Yeah, let's get into it. There's a story where he actually made up with them, and again, talking about dicks, he was a fucking dick director. Like, if you were to interview him, like, oh, like, what was your movie about? And so, you interpret this. If someone were to like say something like that, John Ford was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I just fucking directed the movie. What the fuck? What are you taking out of this? He was like that kind of fucking dick, and he's just like, there's nothing deep in that. I just did my fucking job, and you took it as it is. You know, and yeah, I think he just like made that connection between that. But he actually met him. The first time he met him was like at his office or something. I don't know somehow. And then he showed him a picture of like of a landscape, like a western landscape, and it says, "Okay, where's the line and or the horizon or whatever?" And he says like, "Oh, it's like right here or something." It's like, "No, it's the sky." And he's like, what?" And he's like, "You know what? Never mind." And then he just became a whole fucking dick about it and just like kicked him off. And he's just like, uh. Damn, well, that was a pleasant experience. Never met your heroes before, so. But
That's
I
the
mean,
way it be.
aside for that, like, yeah, he was
Check
even
this
though
tidbit
even though he
out.
was like that, he put his movie into his own movie. So cheers for
I
that, I
probably
guess.
should have spoke about this and stopped you earlier, but you know the scene where Elliot's talking with the principal?
Oh yeah, Harrison Ford.
That's Harrison Ford.
Yeah, they cut it off.
They cut it out,
Yeah, they cut it out, bro.
but that's a thing though. Like he was on set and he
Yeah, he
was
was.
like
There's literally
in the
pictures of
moment.
him on the set, but ultimately they cut it off where he's actually like in the office getting like scolded at, and they weren't even gonna show his face. It was just like his voice and stuff. So it's just like, I think it works better if you're off. But I don't think he took it with like took it personally if he cut it off. He just he just didn't work for the story because of course he respects Spielberg for what he is.
Dude,
It's
they
great.
had a great fucking time on all those sets. Like watching Light and Magic, it just shows you like fucking how much of a good time they had on all these different sets and like
Yeah.
what the fuck was going on. You know, one of the big people that were involved in creating the practical effects and digital effects for ET.
Yeah.
He's fucking dope, bro. Like he like basically did all this shit for Star Wars and stuff too.
Mm. So it was like the
I want
same
to get
team.
his name right now because
Okay.
we need to say this guy's name, dude.
All right. Go ahead.
It is hold on, keep talking. I'm looking it up.
All right. So yeah, that was that's good. I'm gonna go to my top. So I guess my top scene.
Oh,
In
here
the
it
beginning.
is. Dennis Murin. Dennis
Dennis.
Murin, which was one of the big guys of ILM.
Mm-hmm.
That they said that basically there was two different main heads of ILM. It was Dennis Murin and another dude that we'll say later on in our October episode because I want to talk about Poltergeist at some point.
We're
Yes.
not gonna talk about
But
that.
Dennis Murin was the lighthearted, like out of ILM, he was like the lighthearted guy that he wasn't giving direction. He was more of like observing and trying to stay true to the story. He was really trying to just give a voice to the story and portray it as it was in the screenplay. Was Dennis Murin. He was the guy that was childlike. He was the guy that was willing to do what it took to give that shot. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple evidences of this in shots that we didn't even need in fucking ET.
Yeah.
Which was one of them was like, you know, when they're looking around for ET in the beginning where they had the flashlights,
Yeah.
when you see the whole city and everything like that. If you notice, you don't. Oh my god, the Angry Orchard is getting to me.
It's not Angry Orchard.
Two towns, you're right.
Mm-hmm. It's just a very high version of it. You're right there, buddy.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
You're
I'm
getting there.
getting there.
Oh no.
And then
Spoilers.
basically fucking yeah, dude, it just what was I talking about?
Dennis.
Yeah. He was like the kid in the aspect. Like you could literally they have shots of him like literally like just leaning on the crane, just looking at this aspect ratio and just like looking at what they're shooting at and just like wondering things, you know?
Yeah.
And then they had the other one that we're going to talk about when we do Poltergeist, which was like his vibe was more of just like he wanted to scare the shit out of people,
Yeah.
which was like
Completely different way.
big different spectrums, you know?
Yeah.
And Dennis was more of like the childlike like Imagineer in a sense. He
Mhm.
wanted to make things possible, you know, he wanted to dream up situations and he did. For ET, he was able to make those scenes possible and like make the really epic scenes. He talked about in that episode that I watched is like, you know, Spielberg kept drawing these really ridiculous, almost like not ridiculous, but like
Over the
really
top.
contrasty, over the top scenes. Like he wanted this scene of like a cornfield and a fucking shed shining light and like there would be fog, right? But dude, where in fucking Northern California is there a fucking cornfield? I haven't seen one.
Well, technically, it wasn't California. It was borderline. It was borderline California, but it was mainly like Arizona. No, not Arizona. New
It
Mexico.
wasn't. It was
New
Northern
Mexico.
California.
No, it was New Mexico.
It was like Oregon or some shit.
No. It's New Mexico.
I promise you, if you look back and you watch the
They
movie, because I saw this today, bro. Don't tell me. I
they
saw this today. You
clarified
told
that
me
it
to watch
was
the
New
movie. I
Mexico.
fucking watched the movie. In the movie, he is definitely pointing at Northern California.
Waiting about it.
No,
Yeah.
above Nevada.
No.
Above Nevada.
It
Because
was
if you look,
no. It's
dude, I'm
I
telling
know
you,
it is like Northern California, but it's borderline California, and it was also
it is
Nevada.
borderline California, but it's borderline Northern California, which
Yeah.
is Oregon.
Which actually explains why the forest is there, but it's also like a lot of desert right there where the neighborhood's at, which explains that aspect of that landscape.
I'm telling you, bro. Like when you
I
see
watched
that
this
movie
movie 1,000
back,
times.
he says, even the brother says, "Don't use that map. Use this." Remember, he says like, "Use the globe," and he points at the same spot off California. Like, we're here, we're here. So like he's trying to show him like that's where they are. So like he points twice to where they are, and it's Northern California on the border. Like I'm telling you, bro, I'm serious because I watched it today. Okay, so like I know for sure they were trying to portray Northern California, and it could have been where the ILM studios were. Now I'm thinking about it because it was Northern California.
Wait, the what?
Like the original ILM studios are
Right.
actually in the Bay Area near you. That's where
It's
they
below
have that
us.
fucking
Yeah.
Yoda statue, bro. That's where that's where it was, dude. I think we were there, dude.
You think we were there, dude? All right,
I
dude.
think we were there. I don't know for sure, but we were there.
Keep going.
ET, man. Phone home. Okay, this is one of the things. Okay, are we gonna do top twos finally?
Yeah, we were, man. We were going
All
into
right, one
that
of my
shit.
favorite scenes is when he actually phones home. When like he got all the parts that he needs and he like makes this weird fucking contraption that like works on wind and pine tree and a saw blade on a record player and a fork and like all this weird shit and basically puts it together to phone home and it's like ET, it's working, and he's like, they stayed up all night fucking trying to phone home. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
It's going around with like again, the first time he discovered him, he was trying to find him, or he was trying to look at yeah, look for him like in the middle of the night, because he's all like, yeah, I know I saw a goblin, and he what does he do? He puts out a launcher and waits for him all night. So it's always like kind of like rhyming in some sense, like, oh, the first time he met and the moment that he is actually gonna um help him like get home is almost like kind of correlating back and forth. So it's like it like contrasts in some way. As you were saying on your scene, come on, man.
Which was what?
When he was literally trying to phone home.
Okay, yeah, that was to me when I was a little kid, that was the coolest fucking thing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just like I liked seeing like contraptions be put together and inventions be put together out of random shit because that's like as a little kid that's all I had. You know, it was like random fucking toys, random motors, random gears, random, you know, like pieces of like elastic, random pieces of like, you know, like
Yeah, I know, like,
hello?
yeah, we're so good.
Are you videoing
Yeah,
still?
yeah, we're so good.
Because it does I can't see your video at all.
Yeah, hold on. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Was it not that? Why do I always get it confused? I'll be right here. Go on.
I'll be right here. Okay, tidbit. It was a lady that did the voice of ET,
Yeah.
and she smoked 2 packs a day.
All
I don't know if that's real or just a joke that the guy said from the YouTube video, but it really does sound like it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, all the invention shit on ET, like, really did, like, it made an impact on me as a young child to see, like, bro, you can just put things together to make something completely new and completely different. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean that honestly that those scenes as a young child were like you could basically do anything with the newer stuff and just like take them apart and put them together and like see what's dude, I had multiple from the book fair at a young age. I had like multiple things that would be like you could put this whole springboard together and like connect these things, and you'll make like this thing out of out of the circuit board. And like I was learning about circuit boards and stuff like that and shit
Yeah.
like that. That was the epitome of me learning all of this was fucking ET, bro. Like seeing that shit at a young age and seeing things be done that weren't possible. Obviously, they're like you can't use a fork and a fucking saw blade to communicate with outer space aliens, as far as my knowledge goes.
Yeah.
But
e-
it was the imagination.
Exactly.
The imagination behind it
The
was
suspension
what,
of misbelief has to be there.
as a kid, seeing that you could do that very well. I bet you pushed kids to learn special effects, to want to learn CGI, to want to learn computers, to want to learn,
So much.
it was like back in the day, remember like how like what Avengers did for mathematics and engineering today, like Spider-Man and all that shit, like what
Oh,
it's
right.
doing
Yeah.
today for that aspect. Like that's what ET did back in the day for 80s kids,
Yeah.
I feel. You know?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I also had that thought like this time around watching ET with them having to like put a bunch of things together and chips and all the toys that they pull apart and then made something new out of it. It only works because it look like it's functional. As long as it seems like it's
It could
functional,
actually work.
you believe that it does work. You know, that's the misbelief, the suspension of misbelief you have to go into this movie.
And that's why at the end of the ride of ET, you see that when he's phoning home,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, he phones home earlier, but you actually go to his home planet in in the ride. I remember that.
Okay, let's talk about the ride for a bit. Cause millennials don't
Really?
know about this shit.
Okay.
This
No,
is some weird
millennials do
shit,
know
man.
about the shit. It's the Gen Zers that don't know about the shit.
Gen Zers or whatever, bro. I just want to speak to the ages. Like, what was your first implication of like going on the ET ride back in the day at Universal Studios?
I remember it was very atmospheric, and watching the movie thousands of times, they definitely got the feel right
Thousands of times.
because like you do get redwood trees while you're waiting in line. There's like a bunch of screens where it's like Spielberg having to explain like the ride, and it's like, "Oh, welcome to this ride. This is da 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 da." But as you're going into it, like you do see like pieces of forest and like redwood trees, like in the fucking quiver of that line and stuff. And obviously, when you get into the ride, it's obviously a dark ride, and I definitely get like a lot of I think this ride takes a lot of inspiration from the Peter Pan ride over at Disney because you do have
Right.
like the city lights and
Right.
overlooking or what it seems to be overlooking, but it's actually a miniature of the city as you're flying by.
Yeah.
You definitely get that implicate well not implication but that similarity
You
and that
get the special
inspiration
effect, man. They're
and the
selling it to
effects.
you as a
Yeah,
ride.
and the effects, of course, like it's all animatronics and stuff. So you get
You know,
you
you know
get
what
the
stood
full
out
of
to
the
me
story.
besides just to cut you off, right? Because this really stood out to me when I rode the ride.
What?
I could explain the ride vibe to you because I remembered that shit from like beginning to end. It was a long fucking line, but as soon as you got into the fucking area, it was air conditioned. It was
It
dark.
has to be.
They had some TVs around,
Yeah.
and you would hop onto a bicycle, a little old school bicycle, and it would be four bicycles next to each other. It would be one, two, three, four,
Yeah.
and you could only do four at a time. And my uncle Mike took me and Daniel on this ride back in the day, dude.
Yeah. I believe that.
And we lost our shit. Like I was behind, obviously, like he wanted to ride it with Daniel in the front. So Daniel
Yeah.
was in the front, but I was right behind my Uncle Mike, and I was like, I was in my own fucking world, like watching all I didn't give a fuck about it. Like Daniel. Sorry, Daniel, but It was more about like as soon as I got on that ride, it was like an experience. It was like, oh my God, like this is different. This is not Peter Pan. This is not Peter Pan, right? This is
Whoa.
real. This is
Took
like
an
real
extension of
life,
fucking.
right? And one of the
It
things
took an
that
extension of Peter
got to
Pan.
me is like one of the
It is
main
way
vibes
better.
that they were trying to give on that ride was like they're after you, like the government's after you, like they're chasing you,
Yeah, it
like you're
puts
being
you in the
chased.
seats. It puts you in the bicycle seat of that
Right.
movie.
So they put you in the bicycle seat and you're being chased, and then you see a fucking actual Bronco pull up and like almost fucking hit you. Like you see a real life
Well, it
car.
was on
Remember
top of the
that?
yeah, it
It was
was
like a
on top
real
of the
life car that
cliff,
would come up the hill.
and then it just came up like this. It wasn't that
Yeah.
close. It really wasn't
It
that
was,
close.
but as a kid, it seemed close.
It just seemed
You know what I'm
closer.
saying? Like
Yeah.
it just seemed that way. You know, it was
That's
just
the
like it
illusion,
was
man.
trying to give you the experience of you being chased by the government, and you were hiding ET, and then you finally find ET's home, like phone home. He phones home,
And you actually
and
have
then
the home
you
somehow.
fucking you send him home. You like
actually go to the
it made you
fucking
feel
home.
like the hero,
Yeah.
right? It's like at the beginning of the we're getting chased, getting chased by the government, and then by the end of it, it's like you send ET phone home, and you send him to his planet, and you see the planet, and then he says your name. What the hell?
He says
Dude,
farewell.
He's-
Thank you, farewell.
He said, Emmanuel. That's what it was like for me.
Michael.
And then later on in life, it was Manny, and I was like, oh, you said it right this time. Okay.
That was probably like the second time. It's like, I'm not gonna put Manny. I'm just gonna put Manny. Manny. Like, how does that somehow that sounds way worse.
It
But
didn't sound. It sounded like you got the name right to me. You know what I'm saying? But us all
Evalia.
ET, dude. But that's what I'm saying is like to me, what stood out in that whole ride was like the ferns, the redwoods, the fucking
You
all
got it
kinds of
right.
like
It makes you feel like you were in the movie.
the mulch on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like there was chrome bicycles. There was bicycles with a basket in front of it, and there was a basket with ET in it, wasn't there? It was like
Yeah,
one.
it was. And he
There
actually
was
pops
one
up.
basket.
Yeah, and he pops
It was like
up.
the Indiana Jones ride.
Yeah. And kind of.
But he was in one of the baskets.
Yeah, and his head will actually pop up prosthetically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah. It wasn't
was,
like
like,
it wasn't that
real,
high. It was
dude.
actually like
It was just a little bit, but even that much just sold it, you know?
yeah.
And for my little imagination back when I was fucking like 8 years old, bro, that fucking did it, you know? I like
think
when I think of Universal Studios when I was a kid, it was the ET ride, it was Back to the Future.
That's
So
it.
help me God.
Jurassic Park the ride.
And Jurassic Park the ride. But now Jurassic Park is better. But
Yeah, it's
that's
way
aside
better.
the point.
It's way better now. Yeah, so yeah, what's your top 2 scenes, man?
Of ET?
Yeah.
Well, of course when
Wait, you already said your first already.
oh my first what was my first?
And you said
Where he drank some beers.
no, it wasn't that.
Yeah, it was. When he drank some beers
no,
and
you
like he
said
got
something else.
affected, like Elliot got affected from it.
Fine, we'll take
I
it
didn't
as
know
is.
that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like whatever ET was doing, he was connected to Elliot.
Yeah.
So like
So
when
they
he drank
spec-
those beers, like he got Elliot intoxicated at school, and that's why he let all the frogs out.
Yeah.
That's what I got from the scene. That's what I got.
I feel like
Speculate if you can.
honestly what I got from that scene is I mean like intoxication's a different thing when it comes to like, especially if like you're young, you get to see like your more fear side. So got to show like Elliot as his more free spirited side. And his free spirited side is like environmentalist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like every life is precious. Fuck this shit. What the fuck are we doing here? Like let all
Yeah.
the fucking life be? Like, we don't have to dissect them.
I got a good tidbit.
Yeah.
There was actually a comic book that was released on ET, and it showed that Elliot actually had a crush on a girl with pigtails.
Yeah. I think that girl that he kissed was sort of like no.
Was
It
the
was
girl
a
that he had a crush on, but
no, there was a
like it
different girl that actually had
wasn't.
pigtails. No, there was a different girl. No, wait.
It was the girl that had pigtails that had frogs on all over her, and she was just
And
like,
she was just like
"Ah,
holding it like
ah,
this, right?
ah."
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Yeah, that
weird.
was her. Yeah.
Yeah,
But instead they went
but
into a
she
different
still,
girl.
but he
Yeah.
still kissed the other girl that was like that ended up doing the whole heel thing. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that whole heel thing, right? It's just like how okay, let me bring it back. Let me take it all the fucking way back. Before any of the ET talk of like the script or screenwriting or anything, the thing that stands out to me the most about ET is there's very little dialogue.
Can I go into my top? Because that's exactly what's gonna
Go in
make
it.
your point.
Go in it.
Look,
Go.
in the intro, you have no fucking dialogue. That's my top. That's my first top. Because it's the first 10 minutes of the movie, and the first 10 minutes is the hookup. When you want to hook a movie, you want to engage your characters. The fact that you don't have dialogue and it's all action, everything is visual, is actually pretty astonishing in itself because you get to tell a story without having to say anything, but you understand it. You get like, there's these aliens that are like, harvesting and doing all their shit. And one of them is like, just fucking around looking at the city, and then, there's this man coming around, and the only thing you see out of the man is just the keys. The keys are going to be important. That's in your mind already. So you already know, like, okay, well, that's a character I'm going to remember. You don't get to see his face, just an object. And, he's associated with a group of men. The group of men are curious, and they're going after something that they don't know, and they could you don't know who they are, you don't know what it is. It's as mysterious as the fucking alien itself because you don't get to see ET at all, just the same way you don't get to see the man at all. So it's just setting up something that's very intriguing, but everything's in the fucking shadow, and that's the beginning of the movie, all in the shadow, and you get that view of the whole city. You only get the silhouette of ET, just like I'm about to embark into this unknown world and I'm gonna get into it. And then after he leaves, you get the man, and they're also in the background trying to find this thing. So that tells you like they're gonna they're gonna embark into this journey where one thing's gonna try to uncover or discover what this world is about, while the people
Right.
that are in this world
Are
want to
trying to
discover
save the thing
are trying to discover the thing that's unknown to what is
and
beyond
actually discovering it.
beyond what is known in this world. So it's just
Yeah.
like a discovery between each other. It's all about curiosity in a way.
Speaking of curiosity, here's another tidbit.
Go ahead. We keep going on this tidbits,
In the
bro.
diplomatic state of Star Wars Episode 1, in the political
Just kidding.
like field where they're already like they have a bunch of fucking
Oh wait,
aliens
yeah, I know this
around
one.
there,
Yeah.
ET's characters are
Race.
in there.
Their race is actually a little
Their race is in
conga.
there.
Yeah,
So which makes me think,
they're part of that world.
why was he trying to hit up Yoda in that Halloween
Oh
scene?
my god. Because he saw him before, so he's all like, "Hey, I fucking know you."
You can help me.
But how does that make sense when, like, in that world, that's a story franchise that's fictional, and he's going towards him, kind of recognizing them, even though that's not real? That would just say, like, okay, well, somehow, by coincidence, there's actually an Yoda alien race that's up there, and it happens to look exactly the same thing as the
But that's what
fictional
they love to
Star
do.
Wars
They're
thing.
creating their own.
It's an Easter egg.
They're creating their own universe.
Yeah, it's an
It's a
Easter egg.
universe.
It's an Easter egg that doesn't make sense, but
But it
either
is a
way,
universe, though.
yeah.
It is a universe. Like they're creating like other universes within it because they're putting ET in the fucking political state. Like, dude, obviously they know what's going on. Okay, another tidbit.
Oh,
They started going hard and they started making fucking like an actual graphic novel, I think, about ET. And they said like they're the reason they came to Earth, the reason they're there and what their species is good at is growing things.
yeah.
They're good at growing life from its very neutral, like very um baby state. I don't know how to like
It's in
nursery. I don't know how to say that.
they're nurturers by nature, and they're also nurturers
They're
in that sense.
nurturers. Like
Yeah,
their whole species is they want to bring life up. Is why you see in the first shot of ET, you see these crystal mushrooms
yeah. It's all
all over.
which makes sense because I mean it is confirmed that their alien race is actually plant based. So they're actually helping themselves out in some sense, or other types of themselves out in that sense. No matter the fucking planet or universe, everything that's just like plant related, they're related to that in that sense. Um, which brings me to my second scene, and then we'll go to yours. I guess my second scene, I would say that he, um,
Gonna be
as
right
soon,
back because you need to take a big old piss.
yeah. So I'll explain this. So as soon as we see like, yeah, ET has, what is it? ET has obviously died, and then obviously he has this connection with like this plant where it's fully blooming, and he has this plant for the rest of the movie. And when he dies, when the plant actually goes off, which is absorbed by Michael, like it's like kind of like wimping out. He knows that there's a bond between like that what that plant is and him having a connection with ET, and ET obviously he's dying, and that shot is like, oh, we're losing him. So ET obviously is dying, and then right off the bat, the plant dies, ET dies. But when he comes back alive somehow, you get that reoccurring like plant. That plant is actually right there where Ellie is at as he's walking out, and the plant is actually like you know growing back to life with full colors. And you notice that Ellie is actually fucking. He actually notices the flower right there, and somehow he just knows. He ignores it uh, at one point, but then he goes back, and then he's all like, "Wait, the plant." And then that kind of signals like, and he goes back, and then he sees ET is actually alive, and then ET actually is alive because of that plant-based like connection that he has with it in some sense. But I mean, since he has that bond between that plant as well, does that mean that LA is a plant in
It's
itself?
not the fact that he has a bond with that plant, it's that he has a connection to life. He has a
Plant
connection to
life.
things that are growing, and
He has a connection to
that was
plant
the one
life.
plant that was meant to portray that connection that he had with plant life or environmental like shit, and etc etc.
Yeah, I get it. Does that mean that Elliot has a connection to nature himself because he's
I feel like
bonded
he
with him? I
does.
feel
I
like he
feel like
does.
he
Yeah.
does because he felt that way about the toads, and maybe that feeling was amped up after he met ET.
Yeah, you're right.
That could be a thing. But I know there's a lot more lore in ET that you would never fucking think.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk about a tidbit, or I'm gonna regret it, is the fact that they wanted to make an ET2.
You already
They
said this.
wanted to make an ET2, and the second terrestrials of ET would be like looking like ET terrestrials, but they had daggers, and they were like gonna infiltrate
It's gonna
planet
be a little
Earth
bit
and
more
shit
darker.
like that.
Yeah.
And they like got Billy or like got Elliot I don't know why I call him Billy. He just looks like a Billy.
Maybe.
But they got Elliot and they like started torturing him and like making him like speak and stuff like that and
Yeah.
like other things that they were just rambunctious, kind of like how the Gremlins were.
I heard that they were gonna interrogate him by like the U.S. government was gonna interrogate him in one way or another. But I mean, I think he just like scrapped that idea and just said like, you know what, just leave it as it is. I think the
Yeah,
story is perfect as it is. But again,
yeah.
Fire in the Sky, go watch that movie.
I gotta watch it now.
Yeah, it's actually based on like
I
a
mean,
true account of like a guy that actually got abducted. I forgot his name, but
we
he
talked
was on
about
there on that
Harrison
one.
Ford. We
Yeah.
talked about all the ET stuff, ILM,
What's your
the
last?
low budget that they had on this movie compared to all the other movies they were doing was just like what they worked with, you know?
Yeah. What's your
That's why it got
last?
remastered.
What's your last scene?
My last scene,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought I talked about the Halloween scene.
you're just getting yourself confused over things.
Well, we did talk about the Halloween scene, but that has to be my second favorite. Was just like,
The Halloween.
well, it's always the scene where he like goes off the cliff and he flies. Okay, that's fucking memorable for everybody. But for
Bro,
me, like
that's
as on
iconic.
this podcast, as a fucking persona on this podcast, I gotta say it was like looking back at it to use the Halloween scene to make ET escape was a very good writing, you know, like that was good fucking writing in that sense because he basically gave that fool an escape,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you didn't even know it was like the you didn't even know it was October. They never give you any indication it was October until it was Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which is like
exactly.
you don't need to know anything until here.
Yeah, which you could just point that out. Like, you don't need to foreshadow it or anything like that. It's just it is what it is because you're getting California, New Nevada. I'm telling you, it's like Nevada. Um,
Yeah.
type of like environment. So I mean, it's always sunny, so you never know where it's like it's gonna be cold. You know,
Yeah.
that's the advantage of having those locations. It's just like it's always sunny, but you never know when it's Halloween or Christmas and whatnot. Um, yeah, that was a
Last
good scene.
tidbit I gotta throw out there.
Go ahead.
The Comcast commercial.
Okay.
They did a
Oh yeah,
Comcast
Super Bowl.
commercial
Yeah, Super
with
Bowl.
ET,
Yeah,
and it was actually the actor that played Elliot as an older person, you know, like living with
I
ET,
forgot
and he
about
like
that.
connected
Yeah.
with ET, and like they didn't have ILM work on this. It was another company.
Which
It
company?
was another special effects company. Let
Was
me
it?
look it up right now, but
I
it
swear to
was
God,
filled with like
if it was fucking Legendary Pictures, I swear to God, I swear to God, it's either that or it's gonna be Weta. If it's Weta, I don't care.
no, it's not Weta.
It's not Weta. Fuck that.
It's not. It's not.
Actually, Weta actually makes a lot of the associated with a lot of the Super Bowl commercials. Believe it or not.
Okay, hold on, hold on. Who directed the ET? Blah blah blah. Comcast brings ET back. Variety. ET purposes. Blah blah blah. ET Comcast, owner of Universal Movie Studios, distributed the Creatures blockbuster 1982 film, placed him in a long commercial for the company, broadband cable.
Was it
Blah blah
Lightstorm?
blah. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Comcast NBC ET returns as to be seen with his friend Elliot. The character is once again played by Henry Thomas, the same actor who portrayed him. Blah blah blah. Let me see. Hold on. Four generations. The new ad crafted by OmniCorp Group. Goodbye. You know what's so crazy? I don't think that's what I saw earlier on YouTube. It wasn't Omni Group. It was like another group.
Keep reading it.
So like they're trying to fucking like say who's who,
I don't
bro.
think they're narrowing it down. They're
No,
just
for
keeping it on the
reals. Like
hush
they're
hush.
trying to say who's who. They're trying to like fucking like say what's what. Legacy Effects is the one that did it, and they have the
Legacy.
fucking
Fuck, I knew it.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
Legacy Effects. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're the ones that did it.
Legacy Effects is like based on LA, so it's like, oh yeah. They're like the newcomers. No, not the newcomers, but they've been there for a while.
They're doing it like the old way. That's
Yeah.
what they're trying to do. And they talked about that. They said they literally got the molds of ET from the original ET, like, and they made it silicone. So they redid ET entirely.
Yeah, it's from scratch. Huh.
Yeah.
You know
And then
what?
not
Props to
only
that.
that,
Yeah,
I gotta
props to
bring
that.
this up.
What?
Later on, like literally a year ago, I think they did a thing saying, like, showing practical effects are still prevalent. Like they could still get a great reaction out of practical effects.
Yeah.
And what they did was they rebuilt ET. They rebuilt ET and like
probably
showed
got-
that in front of a panel of kids.
They probably got that 3D printed. I'm pretty sure they got most of that model 3D printed. It's one way or another. Especially the eyes. Well, why are you staying quiet like that?
Because I'm listening to you.
No, that's all I
But
gotta
no,
say.
I mean, but that's what I'm talking about. Is like back in the days, is like that's what sold it. Is
Yeah.
like the silences, the fucking
Oh
minimal
my God.
eyebrows, the eyes looking this way, that way. You know, that's what
Yeah.
sold it.
I think that's what sold it. I think that's where the money shots were all in, like the production of VT, because the way that he moves his eyes, especially when that one scene where he was like dressed as a girl, like his eyes move a little bit more fluidly,
Yeah.
and it just seems like, oh, like that took some time, and that actually is like the most convincing shot ever when he was just like all in that disguise and just like
One of the scenes that really stood out to me while watching it now is when he was looking at the TV, when he was watching TV,
Mhm.
and he said phone, home, like he got both of those
I got
things,
it.
like both of those things were explained to him as like be good, you know, like he was learning from the TV.
Drew Barrymore actually told him that.
Be good.
Yeah. She literally says that from the line. Yeah, she's like, I taught him how to do that. It's like, be good.
Yeah.
Wait.
So that's what I'm saying is like those little scenes, those little things that we see in the movie, like some people may overlook, but it's like it took time to like get that
Yeah,
and portray it
yeah,
within
he's
the
pointing
film
out,
and
he's
make it a
connecting
real
the
thing.
dots together because he's a higher intelligence. So he's like kind of getting it like, oh, okay. E.T. phone home. Here's the scene.
T. Home phone.
He doesn't get it the first time. He says home phone.
I also like the scenes where they had the light come through like the big blinds, like the closet
Yeah.
doors.
It makes it a little
Like-
bit more mysterious.
Exactly, and that's what the special effects major said. He's like, Spielberg wanted these really fantastic shots. So
Yeah.
how was I gonna make this fantastic? I basically put a vivid filter over it.
Yeah.
Up the contrast
Here we
on
go.
everything.
Yeah.
He upped the contrast on everything. So like that's why we look at ET and we see like, oh my god, that looks like it's not even real. Like that's so good, it's not real. Because it's not. It's fake, but it's like it's done so well and it's done in a way where it just fucking portrays that.
Yeah. I think part of that like shading as well, I think it comes from like neo-noirs. A lot of neo-noirs is like detectives in their offices and they always have the fucking blinds. And those
Right.
type of movies are always a mystery. So it's like I see where he was going with that shit. You know, it was just
Well, it's like when
giving that
Elliot
look.
comes home and it's like, what are you doing? And Drew Barrymore's character is like, stay in there. And then,
And
he
then he
opens
walks
the door
in,
and he
he's
sees
like,
them all dressed up.
Oh
And he's
my
like in between
God.
both rooms. Oh my
God, no.
you know, and then the brother
What?
comes in and he's like, oh, like
It talks.
he just laughs. And then
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, we can talk now. All right, good. You know
Wait,
what I'm saying?
I feel like I need to play that scene again.
E.T.
It's literally the scene when he discovers that.
I remember as a kid, Sergio always used to stick his finger out the window and say that same exact line.
I never did that.
Yeah, he did.
that shit.
He did it all the time, people. If you want to know something about Sergio, he loved E.T.
You love E.T. too, you dumb fuck.
all this shit.
I like the ride more than I like
You're
the
an
movie,
idiot.
honestly.
Oh my god.
The ride made it real.
Oh.
No, he just puts you into place.
E.T. phone home.
E.T. phone home?
E.T. phone home.
All right, now it's just weird. Now it's just weird when you play.
E.T. phone. He's trying to figure that shit out because at
Yeah,
first he
because
said,
he was piecing together all the different like
yeah, because at
pop
first
culture things that he's
they
seen.
actually corrected him because he said like E.T. home phone, and then they said like, oh, phone home, and then he literally said phone home, not home phone.
Yeah,
So they
that's what
just
Drew
switched it.
Barrymore ended up reiterating to him, because
Yeah.
he does say "E.T. home phone" in the beginning, and then she corrects him, and then he points again and he says "E.T. phone home,"
Yeah.
and then it was like a whole thing. But like you still do that to this day. He will point out, Sergio will point out of a majestic window and say "E.T. phone home," and just like point his finger out.
Manny, that's what you used to do. You know why you said that? Because you said, you know where we come from? Your anus. Your anus.
Shut up.
Did he come back? Well, did he?
Do you hear that?
Yeah, he came back. But he's not a goblin. He's a spaceman.
Extra-terrestrial. Where's he from? Uranus? Get it? Your anus? He doesn't get it, Ty.
Get it?
Your
Good.
anus? He doesn't
Get it?
You're so innocent.
You gotta get
You're
it.
such
You
a
gotta
sinner
get it to get it.
supremus.
He already got it.
Sinner supremus.
Zero charisma.
Sinner supremus.
Shut up, Greg.
This is
Hey,
a-
Zero
ooh, we
Yes.
talked about some great old movies tonight.
yeah, he's just going through that back and forth and shit. So,
All right, final thoughts.
Final
on
thoughts.
ET.
you know, like, there's a lot of great filmmakers, and I do believe that Spielberg is one of them. And I think this is one of his greatest achievement because I think his whole thesis is bringing things like in childhood, not trauma, but just like experiences and that like fascination and that, sensation of having to see something that's unbelievable. And he really brought that shit on screen. This movie created movie magic. That's
Right.
where we get movie magic. It's because he fucking
ILM.
created that. Not even through like ILM. It's just the story itself. ILM was just like the support that actually enhanced the story that's being told. And he utilizes that to his advantage, and now we have a great movie that actually is a staple of time that actually translates through, you know, through everything that we've ever gone through. This is a feel good movie that you could watch from time to time. This is one of those things that said, like, how do you not have feelings at the end of this movie? Like, this movie has you all the feels. And this movie is about feelings. And that's the main point of this movie is emotion.
Right.
That's what he was bringing about.
Okay.
Emotions and stuff. So, I mean, with all due respect, this is a movie that's all emotion with full story
It's a
going
Pixar
on.
movie
Well,
in a way.
without this movie,
Like
it wouldn't have not been
the
Pixar.
A to B. You know what I'm talking about? Like the beginning to end is like a Pixar kind of vibe.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
but they were
saying?
there before, so where do you think like Pixar got his shit from?
Exactly.
From the masters before
So
them.
what I gotta say about ET is
That's my
like
final word.
I watched this shit when I was little, when I was eating sandwiches with cherry tomatoes cut up inside of it with a lot of mustard. Okay?
That's a
I
lot of
was nerding
diarrhea.
out on films like this and just like transferring myself from one place to another watching these things. And you know, I didn't really understand the full impact of this until I was this age. Believe it or not, it takes time to really appreciate all of the effects and all of the vibe that was given to this movie. It was just really um what's the word? What's the word? It's
S-
ethereal. It was very ethereal.
Ethereal?
Like yeah, it was ethereal. Like it was like out of this world. It was like not of this world. It
Can you
was
put
like
that
they
in
were
a
giving
sentence?
vibes. Like, and one scene to me that very speaks this, like, is the very beginning when they go inside of the ships and you see the crystal mushrooms. You see those crystal mushrooms and you were like, whoa, these fucking guys are not from Earth at all. They're just weird.
Context.
They're just out there,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
like stuff happens and it's like, it explains all of it. And all it is at the end of the day, this motherfucker trying to go home, which is me.
Yep.
Also trying to go home.
I'm trying to go home too, but I have to stay here. Once I
Stay
finish
there,
here-
boy.
Once I finish here, I'll go home.
And
Always
you
remember.
gotta go visit ILM, the original ILM studios.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there eventually. At one
Take
point.
some footage there. Send it to us.
They probably will be anal about it, but yeah, sure.
All right. Do we got to sip on this? Are we moving on to sip on this?
Wait.
I'll be right here.
Wrong. Just wrong. By the way,
Shut up.
I heard that the
Shut up.
lady that did the
Shut
voice
up.
of E.T. had to smoke 2 packs a day to keep that.
Manny, shut the fuck up. Enjoy
I'm
the moment.
serious. That's what I said in my research.
We already
that's
said
what I
that. We
heard.
already fucking said that.
She smoked 2 packs a day.
Yeah, and we all believe
keep
you.
the
That's
voice.
why. That's why we're all fucking doing the voice, because obviously you got voiced by someone that fucking smoked a little way too much.
I don't even smoke 2 packs a day.
Yeah,
Just smoking
Well,
2
we're
packs.
just
Maybe
saying-
she just wanted to smoke 2 packs a day.
bro.
Well, that was her excuse.
that
I'm in
was
the
her
movie.
excuse.
Leave
It's
me
the
alone.
movie.
I'm gonna smoke 2 packs
She
a
made
day.
the movie. You know what's movie magic? Smoking 2 packs a day. There you go. With that said, let's go to sip
Good night
on
and
this.
good luck.
Good night and good luck with that.
Sip
fucking
on this. Sip on this.
Sip on this. Go on, Manny. I know you've been wanting to talk about this.
Okay, my biggest thing right now is apparently I haven't confirmed this fully, but they want to redo a Gargoyles game. They're gonna redo a Gargoyles game, like a video game of Gargoyles, bro. And I'm looking forward to that shit because that shit sounds tight. Disney Day just happened 2 days ago, and like a bunch of shit's out. And like they have Little Mermaid out, they have Pinocchio out. Well, not Little Mermaid's not out, but it's out there. And then Disenchantment, no, not Disenchantment, but Enchanted 2
Enchanted.
is coming out.
Disenchanted. It's called Disenchanted. Yeah.
Willow, the series is coming out. They're also gonna redo what else? They're gonna do a lot of shit.
I love Star Wars stuff too.
Star Wars stuff.
So the same creators is like the what's it called? God damn it, what's it called? Basically
can
the
I give
CG
our
the
podcast just a
CGI
little
animation
tidbit?
series. Yeah, the animation
Yeah.
series. The Clone Wars. The same creators as that is actually making like a whole I don't know how many episodes it is, but it's a multi-story about like the fall of the Jedi, where it's literally
Right.
called like I'm forgetting, but something about the Jedi. And basically, it's the same animation, so it's going into perspective of like how Count Dooku actually became like a Jedi and whatnot, and then also more Ahsoka and more like the Bad Batch, or more on the soldiers, the clone side of the thing. So it's like all that shit, you know. Also, we got a sneak peek on The Mandalorian season 3. Did you watch that, Manny?
I haven't.
Watch it after this, or actually watch it. Yeah, watch it after this.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
I want to see your
My
reaction.
thing is, I actually got a tidbit for you. I'm not gonna tell you where, but you heard it here on fucking the Craftcast. They're actually planning to make a new Star Wars series based on the school where the Jedis were trained. I don't know what it's called yet, but they are planning that series. You heard it here first, baby.
You heard it here
on
first.
the podcast.
You heard it here. You might be violating someone's contract, but all right, let's just take the risk.
Fuck the contracts. I'll take the
We're not even
risk.
part of the contract, so
They don't even watch us, so whatever. If you
yeah.
do watch us,
The little
though, you
people.
fucking know what's up. And you're getting some real good fucking intel. Because, like, I got this shit from the source of the source.
From
Only
the
two people
horse's
away.
mouth. I
I
mean,
won't
that
tell you
is
where
just
it's
what it
coming
says.
from, but
It doesn't matter.
it's coming.
This doesn't
It's
matter.
coming. And
This-
also, I heard that the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, when they go film, just like ET, they put a special name on top of it, like a secret name. So the secret name for ET, when you saw the screen right, it was called A Boy's Life,
No, it's
which is
a
super
boy's,
boring as fuck when you read the.
a
It's
boy
called A
growing.
Boy. It
I
was
think it was called
originally
Growing
called A
Up.
Boy's Life.
I think it was called Growing Up.
No, it was called A Boy's Life, and that's what was on the title of the screenplay
There was another one where
for
it said it
ET.
was. There was another
I'm
title where it's
serious
calling
because
like
I saw
Growing
I
Up.
saw the thing today, bro. They
saw the thing
talked about it. It
today.
was literally called A Boy's Life, and they had that. So like, no, anybody that saw it like A Boy's Life, that looks like such a shitty movie. Whatever.
Yeah,
and
they
just,
did
like, would
that so
pass it
that
over.
way, like other people that were working in that studio wouldn't like snoop in
And that's
that
what they're
shit.
doing for
Would've been bitches.
Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and also this new series that's coming out. They're coming out with code names like they've always done.
I think they come up with code names everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they actually come up with code names when they have like the real or the digital slate for the movie. They literally come with like it's like a back in the days it was like a big like film canister and they had like a tape
Yeah.
and they have like the code name right there. But nowadays, now that we have like digital slates, they do the same thing but with the tape and then they have like a different name under it. So it's like
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. But
So I mean, that
that's
was
always
the
something
sip on
based.
this, man. Is like there's a lot of shit coming out right now, and I'm excited to talk about all this shit with you, man. For reals, like we understand this, and I'm telling my listeners right now, we're trying, and we always do research on trying to understand this shit to a T as much as we can, and more stuff is coming out. I mean, Little Mermaid's coming out, like
Ew. Pinocchio
Enchantment
just
is
came
coming out.
out.
It's everything. Like all this stuff is coming out, and Willow's coming out, and Lord of the Rings is coming out.
Yeah, that's a
And
talk about another
the
day.
end of Reservation Dogs is coming out, and I just watched the finale of uh What We Do in the Shadows. So, dude, I got a lot of things that I want to talk about on this podcast. I really hope you stay tuned. We always pair our topic with a beer, so please suggest either topics or beers to us because that's what we're into.
What the
We
fuck
really
are you
appreciate
doing?
it. Please subscribe to us.
What are
Hit the
you
button.
doing?
We're doing this. Hit the button.
Shut the fuck up. You forgot about me, like always. You oversight, cocksucking motherfucker. Fuck you. Fuck you. Listen.
I hope you cut that part
We
out.
talk about special effects a lot. And honestly, if you really want to learn about special effects, there's like a group of guys that actually like do that and they actually absorb and actually like analyze special effects in movies. There's a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew that analyzes like all the bad CGI and also the great CGI in movies and
Right.
TV series. And honestly, go check them out. They obviously like do know their shit. They do talk about like, okay, what's wrong with this? I think the last one was they were talking about Alien 3 and the way that Alien 3 everyone thinks is like CGI, but it's really not. It's really like miniatures with like a blue screen, but it's like, composed into like film. And the way it didn't work is because they got the lighting off, some of the shading was off and whatnot. So they really go into the details about that shit. But also they also try to make like their own like little videos that they composite. So like I said, like they actually do for example, they do make like the recent The Batman movie. They actually composed like the Adam West Batman into like the new The Batman and Robert Pattinson's Batman. And it actually turns out pretty good. It's cheesy, but it's so
Let's
they
see
bring
it.
you like
We'll post it up. We'll post it up soon.
they do that analyze and they also do like some of their work out there. So it's like all pretty good in some way. But that's my sip on this. Corridor Crew on YouTube. exactly how I said it. Just do that. So, good thing to end it off. And, this has been a good one. E.T. versus the Thing. It's just like, no one could believe. No one could believe
No
that
one will
that shit
believe
that's
it, but wait till they see the graphic for this, because it's gonna be like, what just happened?
Hey, it's a talk about the
Look,
film
we're
community.
looking for suggestions. We want to do more because there's more stuff coming out, but we always want to give respect to the old and the new. We're doing it. Hit the button. We're doing it.
Shit.
You know where you can find us at. Subscribe to us on YouTube now. We got a YouTube channel that's going hard. We want to do some more Golden Craft runs on there. We're going to do them little by little. And, hopefully we get some stuff from Northern California and Southern California. So we're going to try to mix it all up and get all kinds of shit in there. But thank you for fucking listening. If you are, we apologize if you aren't. We know we're fucking on the level. But hey, what are you going to do? Sergio?
I'm going to play this music again. But it's all good. You can find us at Golden Craft Cast. Golden Craft Cast on IG. Golden Craft Run on YouTube.
No, Golden Craft Cast on YouTube now. Yeah.
You changed it?
Yeah.
Way to get the fucking memo on that.
It's
But
all Golden Craft Cast, baby.
Bro, we're on video podcast, so just watch us on YouTube or Spotify and wherever they have video podcasts. So
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
this is us. Goodbye.
On home.
All